2024 will go down as the most important year in our lifetime for one reason and one reason only. It's the 20th anniversary of the Nectar of the Gods, known to us mere mortals as Mountain Dew Baja Blast.
That's right. For the first time in recorded human history, this sweet manna from heaven is available in stores everywhere all year long.
And to celebrate this once-in-a-generation occasion, the boys have been tapped like a soda fountain to collaborate on an extremely limited coastal leisure set of Throwing Fits classics. Codename, Blasting Fits.
First up, we got logo lock-up pod shorts done up in a tasty frappe stripe that are perfect for linking and building poolside over a frosty glass of ice-cold Baja Blast. Garçon, 2 straws.
Next up, we're dropping an easy breezy French terry quarter zip and sweatpants combo as seen on the boys for when you're trying a big dog on the boardwalk.
Here's the thing. There's only one way you can be blasting fits all summer long, from the beach to the barbecue and beyond. Head over to BajaBlast.com to learn more.
Happy Baja-versary to all who celebrate and everyone blasting fits this season.
Matthew, ready?
You're going to look into my eyes when you do this?
Oh, yeah. Throw gang, we are joined by the Chief of Chow, the menu maestro. You thought he was feeding you? Matthew's just here to munch. Not with eater, but he came for dinner and lunch. 100 bands of finelli. Still getting chopped cheese at the deli. The trade is rough, but the dining is fine. The critics got John's and he love it. He puts the serve in reservation. Never getting a table for 7 because he ate. The Raja of the rating. The appetizer admiral. Like the chef at Horses, he don't like pussy, but he eat out. The governor of Grub Street, he put that shit on like butt cheeks. You got no motion like 2 club feet. Getting stuffed daily on that slut beat. He coming out every night like nut skeet. Chief restaurant critic for New York Magazine, Matthew Schneier. Matthew, how the hell are you?
You know, you hear it on pod, but it does hit different sitting
IRL?
in front of it. Yeah.
Getting some spittle on you as I drop these bars.
I salute you. I'm afraid of you. I'm leaving.
Wow.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Oh my
6
God, that's
years
right.
almost to the day.
How does
Can you
my
believe
apartment?
that I was only 40 then?
How does my apartment smell compared to the Barstool offices that you graced us with your presence 6 years ago?
I mean, I've been scoping out all of this expensive Japanese incense that's all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
I think you're living in paradise.
Thank you,
We're
thank
locked
you.
and
Yeah.
loaded over here.
It doesn't smell like protein powder, farts, and cheap deodorant. Like
Oh, I
And
just
dip
came
spit.
from the gym.
okay,
And dip spit.
and dip spit. That's
Yeah.
right.
Matthew, thank you so much again for giving us what is very valuable time. You could be eating lunch.
I should
I'm
be
reviewing
eating.
it right now.
I should
Have
be
you
eating.
eaten today?
No, I've got a dinner coming up tonight, and so I'm keeping it tight until then.
Are you, when it's a dinner that is going to be reviewed, do you purposely like fast, or what's the plan there?
Not like fully fast. I just try to kind of be somewhat balanced. If I know if there's going to be like 3,000 calories at dinner, maybe I can slow roll
Okay.
lunch. But I honestly, there are so many restaurants and so many more open that I probably have to do many more lunches than I'm currently doing, and
Okay.
have to build up to it. But it's training. You know, you gotta.
It's like a
stretch.
muscle.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
flex it.
Wait, is lunch the new dinner?
I mean,
Great question.
it's assigned. You got 700 words by the end of the week.
No.
There.
Can I dictate them?
Probably.
Matthew, let's do a fit check, and then we'll get into the fucking all the real meat and potatoes, because this is going to be a food pod.
Absolutely.
What did you wear here today, bud?
So the shoes are Kleeman,
Mm-hmm.
the poor man's paraboot.
Don't say that.
Oh, really?
I mean, they are, but you don't need to say that.
I mean, I just want people to know that I can't pay $500 for.
You can't or you won't.
Depends on the month, I would say.
Okay.
So,
fair.
somewhere in between. The jeans are Levi's.
What about the socks?
Sorry, the socks. The socks are Uniqlo. I'm really on a mission, like a kind of hunt for the perfect white sock.
Okay.
And I have not found one better than Uniqlo yet, but I have.
Most
I have
people, that's their
ideas.
final stop.
Do you know? I think it's called like Tobiah. It's like Japanese Instagram.
They have like odor fighting micromes in their fucking
Oh, is
socks.
that right?
So they claim.
I don't know about all that, but I'm interested in that. I haven't pulled the trigger of that.
Okay.
But,
Is that like a buy in bulk maneuver for you? Like going to Uniqlo and like, I'm getting socks for the year.
not the year, but I think it's like a nice sort of like quarterly
Check-in.
Check-in. Absolutely. So yeah, socks are Uniqlo. Jeans are straight from Vietnam, non-vintage Levi's 505s.
505 man. Okay.
I was very loyal for a very long time to 501s, and I honestly kind of like 505s better, a little more comfortable. So
Pants are getting wider, my friend.
And so am I. So it's been 6 months in this new gig. I'm having a great time, opportunity of a lifetime.
Have you found the Ozempic plug yet?
Yeah.
I can't have it. You get the Ozempic, you don't eat.
Oh, that's right. That's the worst part about Ozempic. It's not like I get the losing weight part, but it just kills your appetite and you get disgusted by food, which is one of life's only joys. Why
I would
want
say,
that?
I mean, not the only reason to live, but I would say top 3, maybe top
Easily.
2.
Top 2 and an 8 too.
I'm not ready for that. No disrespect to my diabetic brothers and
food,
sisters.
Sex,
love.
drugs, rock and roll,
Yeah.
eating.
Oh, I thought this was like a fuck, marry, kill. I was like,
No.
Fuck, marry, kill.
No,
Sex,
this ain't Barstool
killing,
anymore,
or
buddy.
marrying.
Yeah.
All right. What are you wore a lot of layers today.
Yeah.
it was going to rain. It was going to be hot. It was going to be cold. I didn't,
Welcome to New York, baby.
The belt is Max Henry. I
nice.
got to shout out my boy Max.
Twinsies.
There we go.
Shout out Maximum Henry.
I've got the sort of like S&M studded one.
Very cool.
You've got the Cowboy Carter over there. I
Yes,
see.
sir. Act 2.
Yeehaw guy over there.
There we go. The sweater is Old Prada.
Beautiful.
You gotta throw one in for the fans.
If you don't mind, please.
Ooh. It's very scratchy. So the beater underneath is Schneier.
Sorry, the what?
The
pleaser. The wife pleaser.
yes, of course. Well,
Or husband pleaser.
Yeah,
Partner
I was
pleaser.
gonna say,
The tank.
the monarch. I recently learned that if you want to do a gender neutral, not king, not queen, you can monarch them.
No.
Very regal.
Well, what if you're, I don't know, Irish?
Ooh.
fuck the monarchy.
Damn, you got your ass.
Wow. and
The prime minister beater.
the IRA is back. So Scheisse under there.
Scheisse.
What else is there?
Wait, is it really called Scheisse? Like shit?
Like poop.
I think I'm just mispronouncing a Scheisser.
Okay.
So shit
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know.
Some more denim.
Yeah.
we got that's an age old APC over there.
That's that.
And then I have my favorite La Mer Uniqlo raincoat
it's
over
nice.
bald in your
Yeah,
corner.
that's a nice piece, dude. Shout out Uniqlo U. Shout out Christophe Lemaire.
What's the little earring?
This is
Little hoopy.
what's her name? Maria Tash.
Oh, same, bro.
That's-
Twinsies.
That's
And what are the panties?
oh, we really going there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
CDLP.
Wow, Swedish. Right? Or Danish.
Swedish, Nordic.
Swedish, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I don't. I actually don't know.
They love some sexy marketing.
Yeah.
They love horny marketing, and
There
they
you go.
love Lyocell,
Yeah.
which is really.
I have a pair. I like them.
They do hug the boys nicely.
They're silky,
Yeah.
It's like,
But not too silky. You're
only
not
the
slipping
best
and
for
sliding
only
off
the
your chair.
best.
Oh yes. You gotta invest on what you put on your fucking cock and balls.
Yeah.
I used to be very dedicated to the Century 21 3-packs of the Calvin Briefs, and my office is no longer right by Century 21.
Oh.
And Century 21 also briefly.
So it's just a
closed.
proximity thing at that point.
Once you guys,
It was time to trade up.
yeah, once you guys unionized, and got that little pay bump.
You're talking about my balls.
Yes. They finally joined forces into one ball.
Left and right unionized.
Yeah.
Against the shaft. Fuck the shaft.
The
Talk about the
Teamsters.
Monarch.
Teamsters 6'9". All right, and you were sipping on Green Points Finest and Diet Pepsi.
Wow.
What do you think of the Diet Pepsi as are you more of a Diet Coke man?
I Diet Coke, Diet any soda is a real indulgence for me. I really try not to do it too often. I kind of habitually go for Diet Coke because I've been marketed to. I understand that this is your pick,
This
this
is my
Pepsi, and
Also, we are a Pepsi Co podcast now.
Yeah.
oh nice,
Yeah, we've been working with Baja Blast on celebrating their 20th anniversary. Happy Baja anniversary to all who celebrate.
Yeah.
God bless.
Shout out PepsiCo. Shout out
Pepsi
Mountain Dew.
bless, jobless.
Do the do, Matthew.
I mean,
Do the motherfucking
the Dew comes in so many more colors, and maybe I shouldn't admit that as a food critic, but like I didn't know we were tasting the rainbow
Oh,
of
yeah.
Dew.
It's like, well, that's Skittles slogan. So
Well, I assume that's a brand partnership, but and then like the LGBTs get in there
Yeah.
somewhere because you have flag June. The Diet Pepsi, it does.
wait, you got that because James was like, I get Diet Pepsi and you.
Well, I said, I want the specialty of the house.
And I said tap
got it.
water, and you said no. What are you having? I said Diet Pepsi. You're like, all right, I'll have what he's having.
I do feel a real responsibility as a critic to, have what the people are having, what the house is known for.
What the chef recommends.
Yeah, well, it's, and they say to me like, how do you want your steak? How do you want your salmon cooked? I say, it's like, you're the chef. I'm the dick who
Really?
eats it.
So
So
the
like,
vessel.
listen, I mean, when I'm cooking for myself, I have my preferences. I know what I like. I know what I prefer. If someone says to me at a steakhouse, like, we we recommend, well done, I say, well,
Trump Steakhouse.
I'm leaving. Yeah. But no, generally speaking, I do feel like part of my job is to kind of receive what is intended. And so I did want to try this Diet Pepsi, and having tried it, I will never be back.
Okay.
And that's fine. I respect everyone and their tastes. I was saying, just before we started, it really gives me sort of like a visceral body hit of the Regal cinema. My household is a member, so it's not brand new to me, but
my father before him was a Regal member.
Yeah.
Well, it's more my boyfriend, but yes,
Right.
very much so. But
you married into royalty, or you're dating royalty.
In fact, I'm engaged into
Engaged.
royalty.
Oh,
congrats.
Congratulations!
Thank you very much.
He married up, ladies and gentlemen. He's marrying up.
Well, if you're getting hints of, if it's giving Regal cinema, let's make a motherfucking movie, Matthew, and get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast, as we always say. Chief restaurant critic for New York Magazine. Do you have the best job in the world, or is it low-key kind of the worst job in the world?
There's no question. It's the best job in the world.
Yeah.
My joke about it is the best job of the 20th century.
We're in the 21st century now.
That is what makes me a little nervous.
Okay.
But I think we'll ride it till the bitter end. New York Magazine has been unbelievably supportive and cares so much about this kind of work, even as many other places seem to be reconsidering it. I think that's a huge mistake. I think local news is critical to the lifeblood of a democracy. And by local news, I mean, both the real stuff and my reviews of the burger place down the block. Right. So the neurotic Jew in me thinks my God, isn't this too good to last? And
is that what makes you nervous, that you just have stumbled into the greatest job in the world?
Absolutely. There's nowhere to go but down.
Wow, what a positive way to start the podcast.
Food critic.
We met.
What if you become a TikTok food star or something?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I'm trying not to do that. Not because I see anything wrong with that. This feels like an inevitably over the weekend cut this, but I think I'm going to leave that to the professionals and semi-professionals.
Is there value in TikTok food reviewers? Do you think that they have some redeemable, contributions for us?
Sure. I think anything that is going out and putting boots on the ground and exploring and telegraphing that back to any audience, I think there is inherently some value in that. I think it's a different thing than criticism.
Yes.
I think
clout versus criticism.
It's very clear which one of those I have. So
you both. We're on the only podcast that matters.
How many Instagram followers you got?
20,000.
Let's get that up to 21,000 people.
Yeah, you're pushing 25K. That's not light work, brother.
I have no response to that. I couldn't think of something in time. Is it good? Is it bad? Am I
That's
tired?
very good. That's very good.
What about the phenomenon of kind of the interactivity between restaurants and TikTok food reviews, and whether it's a curse when you go viral or a blessing when a restaurant goes viral? Do you see restaurants taking more measures to combat the phones eat first philosophy, or do you see restaurants nowadays actually inviting, making it there's always a stunt viral dish or whatever?
I think it's both and not in equal measure. I mean, we've talked before about Frog Club, where I went a couple weeks ago, where they put stickers over your phone camera so that you can't share anything, which of course only inspires everyone to share it in any way possible.
It's almost like they're doing that on purpose.
It almost is. Is that better or worse than every other restaurant I go to, the server telling me, you may have seen this appetizer on social media?
Wait, they say that?
I have now heard that, I would say, not a dozen times, but more than I can count on one hand.
Wow.
And they're often right. I mean, and it's not, I don't spend that much time on social media, I don't think, but these things are just really out there and people want to share and people want to know. Yeah. And, where I get worried is where the kind of tail wags the dog and the trends start to dictate to the chefs and the restaurateurs and the owners what they should be doing and how they should be doing.
We need more Wagyu.
Yeah.
Order it up. We got another flight coming in from Kobe. What's
if the three of us were out to dinner and we're just hanging out and you go for a dish and I pop out my phone and I'm like, hold on, how much of a faux pas or how annoyed are you by that behavior?
If we go out to dinner, I've already done it first.
Damn.
I find it extremely annoying in myself, but this is my notebook. I go to a
I
restaurant
see.
almost every night. I'm trying to surreptitiously take notes, trying to remember what I've had where, how it's plated, what it looks like, get something that's going to kind of jog my memory when I'm returning to it, to write about it. And, while it can be conspicuous to be, taking notes in a notebook or typing in your phone,
Yeah.
honestly, the least conspicuous thing you can do at this point is whip out your phone and take a photo of it. So I always apologize to my guests. I always say, I know this is gauche beyond belief, but I'm always in.
What if your
excellent
guests are like,
company.
"Hey, man, I actually prefer, why don't we just enjoy the meal?"
That's
Like,
when
why
I
are we-
say, I'm
Do you want
paying
me
for
to?
this.
Do you want me to contribute at all to the bill here?
You've been chief restaurant critic for 6 months now. You said.
Just about. My first review was in September, I believe.
How much weight have you gained in those 6 months?
That is a triggering question.
I'm so sorry.
I celebrate all body types.
Yes. But we're a fashion clothing podcast, so it's about,
yes.
We're also
but-
journalists, so we have to know.
That's fair. And because you've asked me point blank, I actually have to tell you.
Yes, of course.
No one ever lies to
That's the
journalists. Is what I've learned over,
It's the
over
code, bro.
20 years in journalism. No, I as someone who came from fashion with a small but passionately collected wardrobe that fit a very specific version of myself and my body, I am trying to kind of maintain.
Do you have to take measures to are you hitting the gym more? Are you eating?
Oh, I go
more?
to the gym all the time. It's an absolute nightmare.
Are you doing cardio or are we
Is that Equinox eucalyptus I'm getting?
tossing plates?
Well, actually, today I was with my sweet trainer, Elliot Frank. Shout out,
Frank.
Greatest trainer in the game, who does not work at an Equinox. He works at a much stanker gym. So whatever you're getting, I apologize for. But no, I always went to the gym, a bit. I am a gay man, but
This is true.
It is your culture.
I'm lifting. I'm doing cardio. I'm doing Pilates.
Let's go.
And I don't look any better. It's actually infuriating because I'm also eating
it's balanced, right?
Yeah, pig.
The only reason I work out is so that I can pig out and go crazy. But you're doing it, 7 nights a week. Are you eating out?
I eat out probably 5 nights a week.
Fire.
He's
a
Hell
giver.
yeah. He's a real New Yorker.
I am someone with anxiety producing cholesterol at this point.
Oh.
I am on
You take a statin.
I'm on a prophylactic statin. My first day on the job, I went to my beloved PCP. I got a lot of all of this is maintained by only professionals. I think it's so important to have a Rolodex.
Yeah,
if I have one message for the youth, it's I don't know why people don't have a primary care physician if they have the insurance and wherewithal to do it.
They're lucky enough to have
City MD is no substitute. I want somebody who's got my charts. I want someone who has seen the progression of my freckles. I want it all.
You're an inspiration, dude. What a fucking grown ass man, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm just a gentleman of a certain age. You live long enough, you
a
get
certain neurosis.
Yeah.
It's
Gentleman of a certain brain.
the answer is I have gained a small but pretty manageable amount of
Nice.
weight, and I would
Yeah.
I would like to
You look great.
I would like to be able to fit into the majority of what I had been fitting into. And when the style completely changes, that's when you'll know it's time for
Are
some
you
kind of
dreading the
intervention.
return of skinny jeans then?
501s. Keep them at bay.
I want to ask about the role of a critic, right? And kind of just almost the responsibility of people in your position. Is it hard when you're doing your job? Is it hard to distinguish what makes a restaurant good versus your personal tastes? Or is that why you are in the position that you're in, because your personal tastes are actually what you're relaying to the audience?
I mean, to give a bullshit answer, I think it's both.
Okay.
But I was a little bit of a surprise choice for a restaurant critic. I freely acknowledge that. Although when I look back over my own career and my own work, I've actually been writing about restaurants since the very beginning, and eating in them since basically birth. I'm a native New Yorker, not unlike yourself. 2 parents, both of whom could burn water. There was just my earliest meals were in restaurants. I was talking to my mother the other day, and she was reminding me how they would take me out to the Chinese place, and then they would have to basically turn me over and hold me by the ankles afterwards because I would have so much white rice shoved into my little like Oshkosh Bagosh overall pocket,
Taking it with you.
and I think maybe my diaper. So
to shake you out over the doggy bag.
Exactly. So it has been a long and torrid romance with restaurants. But I started this by saying, even though I wasn't a restaurant critic, I've been a critic for a very long time. I was a fashion critic for Style.com, and then a second string critic for the Times. I've done a fair amount of book reviewing, and I think what you learn in criticism is that you have to kind of take things by their own measure. You have to the extent that's possible, judge them by their intent and how far, they have either fallen from it or how near they've come to it. And so, there are things that personally are not my favorite things to eat, but I think, if I go to a restaurant that specializes in whatever those things may be, I don't think it's fair as a critic. I don't think it's fair to the reader, and I don't think it's fair to the restaurant to say, well, I don't want that. I haven't been a picky eater since I was a child.
Do you have a food that just makes you go?
I've eaten brains in this job. It's not
God brains.
not on the job.
That's how he got the job.
Restaurant sex is back, baby. Yeah. Shout out McNally.
Oh, really, really unhygienic. Don't
fucking in a restaurant.
Yeah, just not. I've never done.
Anything to make the gram.
I've eaten brains a couple times. It's
in
not,
New York.
It's not my bag. Yeah.
Where?
There were brains at Noksu, a kind of Korean tasting menu place I reviewed. I ate the entire head of what they were calling a squab, but which you and I realize is just a pigeon. Not the kind of feral New York pigeon, but
I was gonna say bird flew back.
A pretty close relative.
Yeah. Was it good?
The crunching an entire skull does make you feel a little bit like you're waiting for your own comeuppance.
Yeah.
There is a brain dish at an Indian place I really like called Jezba in sort of the NYU area.
And Dhamaka has a brain dish, right?
I would not be surprised because I do.
Yeah.
I mean, the Jezba is Indian as well. I think a different region, but
I think that it's goat brains.
Yeah, this was calf's brains. I think.
Delicious.
To me, brains
Young
is
and
like
supple brain.
one of the great films of our time is Clue the movie from sometime circa the 80s, 80, 45, something like that.
Great cast.
But I will never sort of recover from Mrs. Peacock loving monkey brains. I don't know if you remember that. It's a minor plot point because her husband is an ambassador, and she's not shocked when she's served monkey brains at the Clue house.
Temple of Doom, they're shocked when they get served brains, but that's
Yeah.
also an extremely racist movie.
So it's like, is Eileen Brennan the pussy or is Indy the pussy? I think
What
we
about
know
Pie
that
when he
it's,
fucking drills his brain? That's another brain.
I mean,
scene.
so to answer your question, I could probably be fine without eating any more brains.
What's
But
the most like extreme dish you've ever had? Besides, like, if brains being an example. I mean, an example I always say for me is like whale sashimi
sure.
or fugu, like the poisonous blowfish.
Yep.
Ooh.
I went to Knox in the East Village, a Filipino restaurant, and I had bull testicle soup, which was salty. And
You don't say. Salty balls.
well, the funny thing
We
is
don't
that
have a cow. We have a bull.
they advertised the testicles, and so I was fine. I knew what I was going in for. And then they sort of mention in quieter that the soup also has something called pizzle. And so, I always ask because, you don't want to make an ass of yourself, assume you know what something is. And so I finished it and I asked, I said, I'm not familiar with pizzle. Is that, is it a pepper or is it a local herb? And
It's a
she was
Snoop Dogg lyric.
they were like, oh no, it's the cock.
Oh,
And I was like, oh, I mean, feels relevant, but like,
sounds like
All
British
right.
for cock. No,
honestly, well, putz.
putts. Right.
I think
Close.
putz is, right?
I don't. Yeah. Dude.
I'm looking at it this
Confirmed.
way.
Yeah, dude. Sure. Totally.
I just did a Manischewitz piece. So
Oh, that's right. I thought you were going to say the half like the duck embryo, which is a Filipino dish.
when I went to Knox, I have to go back for the full 22 course tasting where maybe that will be on the menu. We got a la carte. So I did not try that one. But that's
22 courses.
fact check me on that, but it's an outrageous number of courses.
That's
and
absurd.
it's supposed to be incredible.
Oh, all right.
There you go. Heard it here first, folks.
When you're reviewing and walking into a restaurant, does and in your mind, like, again, subjective, the readers, got to know that the critics are subjective, they're humans. Does a restaurant need to provide a sick vibe for it to be successful in your book, or can it just get by based on what's on the plate?
I think, I think it has to have a strong suit somewhere. There are restaurants that have incredible food and no vibe. There are restaurants that have incredible vibes and mid food.
The former is every single restaurant in LA. No vibe.
Listen, LA
Vibe vacuum.
LA is a town that I have not yet fallen in love with, despite my best efforts. Is the diplomatic way I will put it. So
that was beautifully put.
I know they have great food. I will keep trying. I'm open to it. I have a lot of respect for the anti-vibe. I don't like sort of like laziness and like we didn't think about it, but a place that's like stuck in 1956, but still serving, like the best veal parm on God's green earth. Like that to me is a dream restaurant. It's so easy to get exhausted by vibes.
If it's all that you have to offer, it's like, what are we doing here, people?
Well, and it's like, because everybody is sort of plugged into the same devices that are feeding us the same things, I feel like, the courtship of vibes just ends up in, these kind of like starter pack decor things where every restaurant ends up looking the same. You just feel like you're in this kind of like vertigo inducing ambient otherness.
Oh, is that Ethiopian jazz I hear?
We all have Shazam, so we can all confirm it and throw it into our reviews, which, guilty. So,
you pull out the Shazam as well.
The ideal is if I can identify it, but you gotta read the room.
What restaurant has the best playlist in your experience?
God, that's a great question.
Thank you.
What restaurant has the best?
I know my answer.
What's your answer? I wonder if I agree.
Bernie's.
Isn't that a jukebox?
No. It's I think Rachel, the manager there, just
shout out
plug your phone in. Are you a fan of Bernie's? That's our go-to.
I need to do more in North Brooklyn. Usually when I'm up here, I'm more in sort of like the Japanese sector. There's unbelievable Japanese in Greenpoint. But no, I know everybody loves Bernie's.
Everybody loves Bernie's. For a reason.
I kind of got sicked out on comfort food. Sort of during and post-pandemic, there was so much of that, and I appreciate it and I respect it for what it is, and sometimes it really hits. But
is that a trend that is like, or like a thing that restaurateurs just go to, where they're like, oh, comfort food, like, Americana, whatever, but like, is that something that you're sick of, or that is just people are just doing as like a check that box for the vibe?
I think there was a real comfort food moment, and I think it makes sense. I think it was a long moment where we were all really in need of comfort, and I enjoyed it, while it was happening. I think you can overdo it. So I wrote a big piece at the end of last year about the return of weird, and I thought that was a great development. After I was actually also here at Ilias in Greenpoint, eating aerated eel.
I haven't been there yet. Where you sip the clamshell.
So you chug the clam if you're doing it right.
The clam?
Damn, dude.
The
shotgun that bitch.
The clam.
That's a different type of eating out, brother.
There he is.
However you want to take the clam, I think the clam is there for you.
But you don't want to be too comfortable these days. You want to get fucking weird.
I think it's nice that you have the option. I think, there were only so many Caesar salads I could eat. There were only so many mozzarella sticks. I celebrate and Bernie's, and I'm glad that it's doing what it's doing and people seem to really love it.
I agree with you. Like martinis, burgers, like very, I don't know, just overdone at this point, but I still think that Bernie's just does it the best.
Yeah.
Well, it's important to have one place that really does it and kind of owns it.
The Cadillac of comfort, much like a Cadillac itself. So what's the answer to the playlist? Did you think of it while we bought some time there, or were we just...
No. I mean, I appreciate you guys really vamped for 2-3 hours at least. I was in Four Horsemen the other day. Four Horsemen has a great playlist.
Shout out James Murphy.
Yeah.
Another restaurant that I feel like is kind of just like goes under the radar because it's like so consistently good. People just kind of forget how good it is.
On Pete Wells's list.
And up, a number of spots this year, I will say. Yeah. I hadn't been in a long time, and
the music slapped.
The music was great. The food was great. Ethically, I have to say, one of the managers is an old friend of mine from even before her Four Horsemen days. But I mean, farther than a little splash of some kind of Prosecco sparkling wine at the beginning, like, I got in on my own. I paid on my own, and
by the book,
and it was excellent on its own. It did not need any help from her.
How does it work with reservations and getting like hot tickets?
I always have the worst reservation in the game. And
5 o'clock? That's the best.
Well, more often 10 o'clock, which is the nightmare.
Terrible.
No, because I have to make reservations under an assumed name.
Alias.
What name do you use? Ron Mexico?
Shout out Mike Vick.
What's your pseudonym?
That was his dog fighting name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Are you impressed that I knew that?
That Mike Vick was convicted of dogfighting, or that?
Or that I could, yes. I guess that I could just
we said Vic first.
Connect those dots.
This guy's a big jock, ladies and gentlemen. If you couldn't tell.
Thank you
Do
very
you
much.
do you use different pseudonyms or do you stick with one?
I have one so far because
Can we reveal it?
I'm not prepared to reveal it, at least not on mic, because I mean, listen, I'm not stupid enough to think that these restaurants have not already clocked it. It's pretty evident. And
Matthew Meyer.
An even more Jewish guy.
Well, what I will say is that I picked a name that like almost could never occur in nature, which is just like a sort of private joke with myself.
Jesus Hitler. I'm sure there's one.
So, but I mean, this guy has, not only does he have a Resi account, he has a phone number, he has an email address, and all that stuff I have to remember.
Wow, is this like the theater kid in you? Have you created like a character? Like, what is this guy? What's his story? What's his
tell
deal?
us more. He loves eating at 10 p.m. We got that.
Yeah.
He's a night owl.
He's a Castilian adoptee. He's bow-legged.
Oh, wow. Okay, so
he's still in skinny jeans, but the rest of us have moved on.
are we bringing disguises into the mix? Like, come on, dude.
Sadly not. When I was,
fake mustache fell off in the bowl of dick soup.
When I was invited to apply for this job, I was not just given this job. I was told, if you want, you can submit a memo for this. And one of the things I wrote in this memo is like, I am prepared to bring out the wigs.
Whatever it takes.
I am ready to go full sort of classic Ruth Reichel, come for me with apples, like Gail Green big hat. And they were like, nah, we like your ideas except that one. Like we think that moment is
pocket
past.
that one.
So sadly I go as myself. I mean, my feeling is like,
you could still put the wig on though, right?
Yeah, it's up to you.
That's not just on my own time now.
Okay.
When I'm in there, sometimes people seem to recognize me, sometimes they don't. Generally speaking, it's not an issue. My feeling is like, listen, this is the age of Google image search. Like, no one is anonymous. I just don't want anybody preparing for my arrival. I don't want them bringing in ringers. I don't want them ordering new things that are not otherwise on the menu.
Right.
Once I'm there, I don't know, maybe they can be a little more attentive than they might be to a random schlub. But like, even that, I mean, these places are so fucking busy now. It's like hard to care more about me than about anything
And you're not
else.
expecting any type of treatment at all. So.
I want to be the most regular, the most average. I take very seriously that though this job is an incredible privilege and pleasure to do, my real job is reader service. Like I am here to communicate to people, who are going to not 5 or 6 restaurant meals a week, but one a week or one a month. Like what's good, what's really worth it, what they can expect when they're there.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thanks for saying that.
Of course.
So I want really seriously to kind of get it, like everybody else gets it.
Do you ever go out to eat when you're not working? And then does it like you walk in and let's say they clock you and they're like, oh shit, Schneier's here. Ron Mexico's here.
It's Jesus Hitler.
Jesus, the bow-legged Hitler's
Jesus
here.
Christ, it's Jason Bourne.
And they start treating like royalty, like, and you're just like, no, guys, I'm just here for some eggs. Like, does that? Can you eat out like a citizen, or do you always get fucking treated like royalty?
It's pretty citizen. I mean, the number of times where I have really been sort of clocked and any kind of accommodation was made, I can really count on one hand.
Really.
And the truth is, now when I'm not working, I'm basically always working. But if I have a night where I'm really like, this is a night just for me, I won't go out at all.
Oh.
I miss cooking. I miss my boyfriend's cooking. I miss like.
Are you nice at cooking?
Your fiance.
I'm okay. Oh, thank you. I hate that word. I don't. Obviously, I love him, and I'm happy that we're married.
You're betrothed,
but I think that word really kind of gives me the creeps.
You're betrothed.
Sure, my affiance,
the love of your life.
Sure.
Future hubby,
Mr. Forever.
Oh my God, what's the food at the wedding going to be like, bro?
Oh,
it's gonna be good.
Yeah,
that's all you can say.
It's gonna be.
Are you in charge of that?
No. He cares a ton about food too.
Okay.
I mean,
I hope so.
He's a good cook.
What's the biggest food thing that you guys disagree on?
What's the biggest food thing that we disagree on? Hopefully he's not going to kill me for saying this, but I got him onto chicken on the bone. When we first were
Is that a gay thing, or
is that a gay euphemism?
Yeah, but it requires like 4 or 5 people at least. No, when we were starting to date, our second or third date was at the Fly in
so
Clinton Hill, my old neighborhood. A place that I was and am very fond of. I hope it's not unethical to say that, but I was since long before I was a critic and will be long after. And the Fly's thing is rotisserie chicken. It's more or less the only thing on the menu. They got a bunch of sides, they got a salad, they've got a sandwich, I guess, but like really you go there for this chicken.
The bird.
And I didn't know because he was an adult that he had this thing where he was still kind of like freaked out about eating chicken off the bone, and
Like he never ate wings.
He's just
he's Greek, so they don't.
Oh, so he's a nuggy boy.
Well, yeah,
Nuggies and tendies exclusively.
I'd like to see the children's menu, please.
So he was a real trooper about it.
Is it like gross that it's like, oh, this was an animal?
I think, which listen, I understand too. I mean, there are certain things you can eat, including I think things that are sort of gristly or bony or off the skeleton that you just are feeling like okay, talk about thank you for your service, like I don't think it's immoral to eat meat. I don't think it's unethical to eat meat. I try to eat it in as mindful and sustainable and humane a way as possible.
The vegans have turned this off long ago.
Yeah.
Great. So
fuck those losers.
But he was a little, but he did it. I have to say, I have to give him props. He did it that first time.
It tastes better. The proof is in the taste.
Over the course of now 4 years and change together,
nice.
He just goes to fucking town on it. It's disgusting.
Get
honest.
this man a chicken thigh, dark meat only.
So that was a disagreement. I'm trying. Otherwise, I don't think we really have disagreements. I mean, because he spent about half of his childhood in America and half in Greece. There are certain sort of like American foods that he just doesn't have a ton of experience with.
What?
Just sort of like assorted junk foods. I'm not going to be able to think of a satisfying one, but
Doritos and shit.
Like he'd never had a Frito pie.
Okay. Delicious.
I can't pretend that I'm a Texan. I'm not. I used to have Frito pie as a child at Cowgirl Hall of Fame, the drag Tex-Mex spot on
as
Hudson
a child.
Street. Shout out. Yeah, it's like I think my mother clocked early and was just like we're gonna support quietly. Although I said that
that's pretty loud support though.
I said that to her not long ago, and she was like, "Those were men."
Stop.
God's truth. So, but I mean, literally, Justin Vivian Bond used to perform there, and maybe I was there for it. I honestly don't know. I hope I was.
You were balls deep in the Frito pie.
Yeah.
So,
you should be taking photos of your phone, not the
exactly.
talent. Not the
so Frito pie is when I remember he was like, "I'm sorry, like what?"
and slop on Fritos,
slop in a bag,
and it's in the bag.
Yeah,
you're eating the bag. I was like, well, I mean, obviously, you're gonna
lick
some of the bag, like
like a good Saturday night.
What do you cook for him? Back in your cooking days,
we and again, I don't get to cook much anymore. I would say like a competent plus home cook, which I actually think is the exact right amount for a restaurant critic to be, because I am so aware of my shortcomings and so in awe of the people that really can and do cook at a professional level, and I don't take it lightly.
Those who can't do review.
Nice. They don't build statues of critics.
Ooh, that's true.
Does that make you upset?
They don't build that many statues of chefs unless I've missed some of them. But
tear down that statue of Matthew. He was just a critic.
Tear down that statue, Batali.
I mean, what's the
for other reasons?
Is it actually an Oscar Wilde quote, or is it an apocryphal? Eunuchs in the whorehouse.
They don't build statues of critics. I just saw Charlie XCX wearing it on a t-shirt.
That's where we get all of our news.
I think it's a Theodore Roosevelt, like man in the arena type shit.
I'm more of a duo man myself. Okay. So every man has his pick.
Wait,
the duo of man.
If you go out to eat with your betrothed, can you shut off the critical mind? Can you just enjoy it without like?
Yeah, but I mean, I joke that like one of the reasons I was good for this job is that I was always getting loud with my opinions. It was just people weren't paying me for that. Like I just found a way to channel that into a revenue stream.
Got it. Okay, that's fair.
But I am not everything does need to be reviewed. Like I'm perfectly happy to eat Chipotle, to eat
what's your Chipotle order?
I like the blandest, most boring. I mean, chicken or barbacoa if I'm prepared to like have a real experience.
What's your favorite fast food spot?
Good question. The truth is, and I mean this sounds less pretentious than it will. I really didn't grow up eating very much fast food.
It's
so it's like a New York thing, but I mean there was fast food around. There's a really nice McDonald's on Chamber Street. You know,
Oh, that's my high school. Yeah.
McDonald's.
Yeah, high school
and
spot.
so
It ran that bitch.
It's not that I wasn't there. It's not that I didn't. You know, these things weren't around.
You could just
I
get
didn't.
Chinese food, like beautiful, delicious American Chinese.
Yeah,
instead.
so I don't. I mean, there are a lot of things that I don't really have a ton of experience about. But I remember. Hannah Goldfield, excellent writer and food critic at the New Yorker, is a friend of mine, wrote somewhere at some point that like she hadn't had a Big Mac in years and needed to like go back and try it. And she got such hate for it. And so I guess now I will too. I don't know. I mean,
I had one last night. We were on set all day.
For my birthday this year, my betrothed, I guess, trying that out. Nope, don't like it either. Made a beautiful steak au poivre and Postmated McDonald's fries to go with it.
Fuck yes, dude.
Which
I love
Big brain move.
I have to say is like, yes, it's a little cringe, but also is extremely delicious.
He's Greek, and that's a
And
philosophical move, if I ever heard of one.
It was, short of, Yaya's lemon potatoes.
Right.
We will accept that.
I looked up synonyms for fiance. What about intended? My intended.
I actually kind of like that.
Really?
It's like Victorian, right?
It's like I intend.
That's
like,
so pretentious.
that's worse than betrothed.
No.
Betrothed.
You're right.
Yeah. Speaking of high-low, and we talked about kind of like you're a little over comfort food, or you wrote that piece that it was very 2023, 2024. It's getting weird. It's getting like, I don't know, just weird energy in a good way. What other food trends do you think are literally cooked that we just need to stop doing?
I feel guilty saying them because I think there are reasons, and I think often business reasons behind all of these things. I am a little exhausted by small plates. I think it's a little bit of a con to get people to order more stuff. And I have had the experience of like going to a restaurant, and a service person saying to me like, after we ordered, 6 different, tiny morsels of whatever, being like, you should probably throw on another 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'm getting a fucking slice after this.
this is like, you don't have room on this table for the number of plates you're proposing to bring.
We did just go to the Tusk Bar, and their small plates were fantastic. And it's like, it's so good. I'll just order more. Like, I'm not tripping over that, but I get your point.
For everything that I could complain about, there's like an excellent version of it. And I'm
The
sure
exception makes the rule.
Oh, right. So that I find a little challenging at this point. I mean, I just like the opportunity to sort of decide on my own meal and its
But you don't like
size,
the
its
opportunity. You don't like the
amplitude.
opportunity to like try a bunch of things.
I mean, maybe it's just the privilege of like knowing I'm going to order everything anyway, and so like I don't need it to be
Critical privilege.
That's
His
so
life is a poo-poo platter.
I have to apologize for that. I mean, and then tasting menus I think can be unbelievable experiences, but also can kind of hold you hostage and
for 4
jack up the
hours.
prices. And I understand because there's a lot of logistics behind it. And if you were doing, a tasting every night with 2 seatings, you know what you're buying, you're not having spoilage, you know what's going to sell, you're taking a lot of customer choice out of it. And, it is so hard to run restaurants. It is so costly. So many of them fail. The real estate is a nightmare. The health department's, it's all a nightmare. And so I don't want to seem cavalier about the challenges of that. And I don't want to seem like, why aren't you guys having, as much fun as I'm having?
Right.
Like, I know that this is, these are real challenges, but I also think like when you have a $200, a $300 a person tasting menu, you're just creating a luxury product, and there's nothing inherently wrong with luxury. Right. But I also think, the divide is widening here as everywhere else between, the haves and the have-nots, and the experiences you can have as one and the experiences you can have as another. And I want to find food that, is excellent and worth every penny for top dollar. And I want to find food that's excellent and worth every penny for entry level. And I think, to me, value is really the criteria.
What do you think? You mentioned Hannah Goldfield. She writes kind of more about like, specific restaurants, but also like the more macro trends. Like, what do you think of the members only fucking shit happening now with like Major Food Group and the clubs and shit?
It's happening because people want it and people will pay for it.
A sucker's born every minute.
I think it's bullshit. I reviewed a couple places that sort of were members clubs or were acting as members clubs. One of my first reviews was Sartiano's, which is owned by Scott Sartiano from Zero Bond. And it is not a private club as Zero Bond is, but it is.
Did it suck?
I didn't have a great experience there. I can say that for sure.
It's easier to trash than a mom and pop shop. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, and I have to say it was an early review, and I have to say I didn't feel too guilty out of the gate.
You slept like a baby.
The vibe in here is rough. I mean, we were really treated poorly. The food. It has a very competent cook, and it has Portali as sort of consulting, and he's a great New York chef, and so there are some real hits. But you just you feel that it's like doing something different than I think a restaurant should do. I mean, we just did a big piece for the magazine on kind of nostalgia in restaurants, the yesteryear issue of New York Magazine. And
it was fire, by the way. That shit was awesome.
Thank you so much. I had such a small part in it. Extremely proud to do it, but it was
mood board picks.
a huge group project. And, but the real thrust of it was that restaurants are places where kind of like you meet your people. And I think as soon as you it's one thing to have it be sort of like a de facto club, or if I think that can be kind of fun. But as soon as you really are limiting from above, this person can enter, this person can't enter, and dictating the criteria that would allow entrance, which is almost always, cash, I think you're doing something that's profoundly un-New York. You might as well just be at fucking Shriner's Lodge in Wisconsin. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Actually, or maybe worse food.
Honestly, at this point, probably the same food, because there's such a there's a whole Midwestern trend and chipped beef and whatever else.
Well, let's talk about the most recent issue. So it'll kind of look back at the history of restaurants and their accompanying scenes in New York, all the way back to fucking the Mark Twain dickities to, current times. If you could bring back one element of a past version of New York City that you yourself are nostalgic for, what would it be to the restaurant world?
I could bring in one,
especially after all this research. I feel like it must have been looking at these halcyon days and be like, oh shit,
what's the game been missing, Matthew?
Yeah, well, listen, the truth is that this really was like a cast of thousands assembled to do this story. And so, there was one guy who really handled the 19th century. There was, another person who did this. I was furiously pitching the 90s New York restaurants of our youth, many of which were, I'm sorry to say, cut from the issue.
No Joe Juniors?
No Joe Juniors, no Zen Palette.
Wow.
the place that told me that vegetarian food can be both expensive and tasteless.
Iconic.
Do you remember America?
No.
America off Union Square was sort of a concept restaurant.
It had like a huge neon American flag outside of it. Yeah.
Yep, correct. And its shtick was like food from all 50 states.
Oh, great shtick.
That was a whole thing.
Jekyll and Hyde.
A Jekyll and Hyde where my 5th grade birthday party was.
Hell yes.
Wait, there's no Jekyll and Hyde in the city anymore?
I think the uptown one still exists.
Okay.
The downtown one is gone.
Mars 3000 or whatever.
Mars 2112, another classic birthday party joint.
Rainforest Cafe?
Ninja?
Ninja was later, but Ninja was.
I never went, sadly.
I went once, and it was really in the basement.
You would have ninjas spring out at you and be like, ninja or some shit.
Not great for vets.
No.
Rainforest Cafe. That was a big one. Yeah, I feel like, but I'm from Jersey. So
those were around. I'm pretty sure there's still a Rainforest Cafe in London, honestly, which is interesting to me. I mean, when I was going for Fashion Week, it's sort of like right around kind of Leicester Square.
They're looking for shit to rape and pillage, even if it's just in the kind of general.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite one specific write up in the issue, or one that like really spoke to you?
I mean, I loved the one about the Upper East Side teens colonizing their own floor at Serafina before Serafina, when it was still called Sophia. That wasn't my particular experience, but I thought, nothing is going to kind of like bring me back faster than like a Nancy Joe Sales, style.
Some prep school gangsters.
School, your beepers on the table, your Parliament lights. I'm cribbing that directly from the write-up. This is not my own.
Your steep text on the chairs.
The whole thing. And so, that really hits for me. I love, the punks at Leshko's. And
it was awesome.
And the Brighton Beach places with the bottle of vodka for every 4 people. I have some other ones that I think are gonna, I hope, come out online. There's so much in this issue, and not all of it fit in print.
But what would you bring back if you could? Smoking?
Oh, I mean, I certainly smoking in restaurants. I didn't love smoking in bars. I loved, because I feel like that you were sort of choosing to have that.
Where do you stand on the cheeky dart after a meal? Crucial, absolute treat. Like,
I would say I have left my smoking days behind. I will have like a cigarette maybe once a fiscal quarter.
Okay. When you're buying your Uniqlo socks.
Exactly. You make a day of it. Right up there at 53rd and 5th.
It's like after like a crazy rich meal, you're just like, I need to fucking cut through this.
Although there are alternatives. There's all sorts of things that you can.
What else?
Yeah, what's healthier? What's a healthy alternative?
Fernet? Like
like booze. Everyone's incredibly healthy. Gonna keep me alive forever.
What's your drink of choice when you're eating out? Some vino?
I have become, I'm sorry to say, a real wine guy. I'm aware that it's one of the more annoying things
whatever
that a person can be. I came by it honestly. I actually was sort of interested in it, and then I started continuing education, and now I'm even more interested in it in a way that is even more boring and more expensive.
What grapes are you fucking with right now?
I think Chard is really underrated.
Whoa, shoddy potty?
I think
I
think it's become a punchline, but I actually think for the summer, you were like always going to have a better drinking experience with like a halfway decent Chard.
You are a wine mom, dude. You're a wine mom.
Listen, come by it honestly.
Live, laugh, wine.
I think, listen, come out with me one time. We'll see.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Real quick, while we're on the subject of booze, what do you think the drink of summer 2024 will be?
That's a great question. And I do not know the answer to it. But I also think you can't know the answer until the summer hits.
Do you think there's any contenders though, like that are any front runners, any dark horses?
What's in the ether?
What are you feeling? What are you seeing?
It's just, it hasn't been warm enough to like have the first one. I mean, I think we all have to stop drinking martinis. I think we all started doing it kind of, first it was a joke, then it was sort of an affectation, and now
then
it's
we
just
got
a
addicted.
drinking problem. I love a martini. I would have a martini whenever.
What kind of martini?
So I have gin only. I don't.
Okay.
I believe in a vodka martini. I just don't like it. And I
do not agree with you, but I allow you to order it.
I listen. I will die for your right to say so. But
thank you.
It's not for me. I
super filthy, dirty, like Shrek's bathwater, or is that like some basic bitch shit?
No, I don't believe in that. I dirty is just, it's not for, like, it's, if you want olives, have olives.
Right.
Like,
Damn.
At this point, motherfuckers just drinking pickle juice.
I just think it's a way not to drink gin. I happen to like gin, unfortunately, and so my martini is gin martini, Plymouth if possible, not too dry.
Okay.
I actually think vermouth is very underrated. I like vermouth on the rocks, vermouth and soda.
Vermouth on the rocks?
Vermouth and soda.
No, but vermouth on the rocks is a crazy order. Dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be a nice vermouth. It can't be like
obviously
red, white.
Depends on the day. Depends on the bouquet.
But you don't think so? We're done with martinis. We're done with espresso martinis?
Please.
I think espresso martinis might be here forever. When I like walk down the street now and like you see like these pros with these, God forgive me, but like lady glasses of espresso martini, just chugging them. I'm just like,
just do cocaine like a real adult, dude.
It's I like it. It can be a nice treat, but like it's like an ice cream cone to me.
Yeah.
It's not like a drink.
Juicy chilled red. Where are we with those?
Ooh.
I think
forever, please.
I think they're good. I think they're basically always over chilled.
Really?
Yeah,
they are.
You don't want to put some cubes in that bitch too?
Listen. I think if you want that, you should have like a white wine spritzer, which I love by the pool. Like, but again, it's a different thing. I think wine temperature is one reason people don't like wine. I think most reds are served too warm, and I think most whites and most chilled reds are served too cold.
Wow,
that's not a particularly hot take. I think everybody in wine thinks that. I don't want to sort of get out over my skis, but I agree with everybody else on that front.
What do you think will be the seafood of the summer?
Here we go.
Because there's always one.
Pitch them your thoughts.
I mean, is the clam here? Are we ready for the clam? I feel like
that's what I think it's going to be.
But you know what? I feel like there was sort of there was that clam toast moment. Everybody was, it started at Hearts and then it kind of was
shout out
up.
the sister restaurant on the Fly. And that's the best clam toast, I believe, in the city. It is phenomenal.
I would agree. So I think it could be that. I think mussels are pretty underrated and also extremely sustainable.
And cheap relative to relative seafood.
Prepared how? Or just any mussel dish?
I mean, I love like a mussel marinara. I love
mussels marinara.
I mean, I forget what it's called with the beer, mussels and daube or something, like a Belgian thing.
Moule frite?
Yeah, I mean, certainly a moule frite. I like a chilled mussel, like a raw bar mussel. Like not, I don't know exactly what I don't know exactly what the preparation is. I think like an escabeche or something like that. But like
Like it's servos.
Exactly. Well, now we've like truly hit the trifecta of that restaurant, and I see him in the tank. I'm never going back. Sorry, Nick.
Wait, why are you going back to servos?
I'm just saying the only restaurants I've now mentioned on this podcast.
Oh, got it.
From the Fly
okay,
and
yeah.
Servos.
Oh shit!
Well, they got a new one coming soon.
Allegedly, yeah.
Are there any restaurants coming soon that you're very excited for?
Absolutely.
Let's name them.
I don't. I wonder if. I mean, I guess I'll just go, and so it doesn't matter. I'm really excited about a place called Zimmy's that
Serves in.
A guy from a guy who cooked at Lodi and now has been cooking around the city, doing pop-ups, is the chef at, and I think that's going to be really good. I'm curious about Cafe Fifi on the Upper East Side, which I find to be sort of a food desert, although there are some good sort of old time places. But that's the French place from the Sushi Naz people.
Nice.
Let's see where else is good. I'm really looking forward to Le Veau d'Or, the kind of rebirth of the classic Midtown place from the Frenchette guys. I'm really looking.
It's anything like Frenchette. I'm right there with you, bro.
Start saving now.
There's there's a million places that I am excited to get to that opened in the last 6 months that I haven't gone to yet. I mean, there is so much energy right now in Chinese food. There is so much energy right now in Middle Eastern food. There's so much energy in Persian food. There's just like we're in a great restaurant moment. I mean, I know it's like popular to complain about everything, and I complain about everything, and everything is expensive, and it's impossible to get a reservation. But there are like a lot of really good places open, and I want to celebrate that. I feel like I sort of have the reputation for being a pain in the ass.
Really?
Well, at least in the reviews, I don't know though. I sort of read them differently than other people.
I read your Frog Club review, and I was like, wow, I'm surprised you didn't really go harder. And you're like, I thought I was pretty harsh on them. I'm like, you were kind of nice to them.
I think what I've come to believe is that these reviews are sort of Rorschach tests. I think you see in them what you kind of
people are projecting.
Yeah, I'm seeing a dead cat.
It's like a magic eye. You know, you have to kind of like bring it to and away from your face.
Wait, when you say you're getting a reputation from who? Like restaurateurs, chefs, or is that really just in your own mind?
I think probably in my own mind.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so in this moment, what are some food trends you think are going to really flourish in 2024?
I think we're going to see a real Middle Eastern food moment. I think there's so much good stuff there, and I hope so. I think. What else do I think? I think I'm really excited about Persian. I think last year was great for Persian. I think Ival Sofre, the new Sofre Cafe, like I think all that stuff is great. There's like a new Lebanese place that's opening that's kind of somewhat similar to that. Obviously, Lebanese not Persian, but fine. Where else? I mean, we seem to be in like a good bakery moment again.
Oh, a lot of bakeries,
a lot of baking. Celebrate that. We'll see. I think like I said before, I think that there was a sort of a long moment of comfort food, and I think also sort of a bistro-y food. I think that is not the same as comfort
more fucking
food,
French
but,
bistros, please.
And I love a French bistro. If you told me I could only sort of like visit one city in the world for the rest of my life, it would probably be Paris. But I don't. I also want to see what else is out there. So I think that maybe we'll taper off a little bit.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. What else? What are y'all saying?
I don't know.
That's why we had you here.
You haven't left the apartment.
No. I just go to Frog Club. Matthew, can you, like, we were talking about kind of like, the magnificent, gigantic tapestry of the city, but can you just focus in real quick? Can you share your personal favorite restaurants right now, or do you believe in gatekeeping?
I absolutely believe in gatekeeping.
So we're not gonna hear.
No. That's I am joking, of course. My whole job is anti-gatekeeping. I mean, I went to Frog Club to not to blow it up in terms of negativity, but to blow it up in terms of public proclamation.
Right.
And they in fact were relatively generous about the whole thing. I have to say, all things considered.
After the fact,
the chef sent me a note. She said, I enjoyed reading your piece, and I said, great.
Seems like
Thanks
that's
for having me.
a strategy that she employs.
Everybody's got their move.
Have you ever had a chef or restaurant clap back at one of your reviews, like get really upset or angry?
So far, not to me. I have heard through the grapevine.
Like to your editor, or
not so much to my editor, but like, because I've worked in the media for a long time, I have friends who do other kinds of food writing, cookbook authors, things like that. And so
are they like, it's on site, or is it like never show your face here again?
I mean, I hope not. I'd like to go back. The place I'm thinking of is a place I really liked and thought I had given a really good review.
Really?
To, so
and it wasn't good enough.
Keith McNally's fucking posting you on Instagram right
this
now.
Town is not big enough for me and Jesus Hitler.
Sorry, what was the question? My favorite spots.
Your favorite restaurants right now? Personal favorites.
What are my favorite restaurants right now? This is the question that I'm asked all the time, and I just absolutely should have a ready answer for it, and somehow I never do because it changes all the time. Where have I been liking? Where have I been reviewing? Even.
Thought he had like
all he
a
does
good
is
memory.
eat.
Yeah.
No, I mean, why do you think I take all these pictures? My memory
That's
is
true.
like is shot. Let me think about it for a second. It's one of them was gonna like.
We could revisit.
Is there something where like as soon as you walk into a restaurant, like what's the most immediate thing that will charm you and kind of signal to you that you're in for a good experience? Whether it is like the music, the vibe, the food, like what exactly kind of just clues you in that you're gonna have a good meal?
Green flags.
Yeah.
I think lighting is so important.
Ooh.
I think so many restaurants are either too bright or too dark. It's like hard to hit the perfect medium. I think noise level.
Way too loud.
I mean, I'm worried that I'm like, going to officially cross the transom into senility, but like I want to, I literally have said to my editor, can I expense whatever a
earplugs
is? No, I want to be that person with the like machine in the restaurant being like beep, 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 and seeing, and I want to start including, like
really like sound like F-18.
I don't even actually, I haven't even looked up what the relevant unit is, but like this place is like, 78 hertz per million or something. Like
it's like being in a Yankees playoff game.
We need the noise-o-meter, the clap-o-meter. But no, if it's too loud, the night's ruined. And that happens at a lot of places.
I think so many places are so loud.
It's out of control.
And it's just like, it's fun and I get it. And it gives you a little.
Is that them forcing the vibe?
I think a little bit. And it's also, I think, forcing a kind of youth that I think is a little unfair. It's like, I still dine out with my parents, who are in their 80s. And like, they can hear fucking thing.
Dude. It is literally when I go out to eat with my parents, I'm on Yelp being like looking up the noise levels. So honestly, I think noise level would be nice,
that's a great call.
Little feature to include in your reviews.
Well, I regret announcing it here. Someone's going to steal it.
Big
Pete,
ears.
stay away.
You know what? They're listening.
Yeah. You have a week. Get it done.
But okay, so good lighting, good noise level. What else is like?
I think like you want a menu that like has some variety, but doesn't feel like, sort of Cheesecake Factory level of like, we can make anything and we are making everything.
Right.
The menu's the Bible.
I think you can tell so much about sort of like the real quality of a restaurant by its by the glass wine list.
Ooh.
It's like, it's not that anyone can like assemble a really great like bottle list, but you're actually moving so much more wine by the glass, and
you're on notice the grill,
and it's for it's for the people who are not there to swing a dick around and like prove that they know Chambon Musigny or whatever. So as we
Chateau
all do.
Margaux, right? Yeah, totally.
There you go.
Chateau Josh. You fuck with Josh?
I've actually never tried Josh.
Oh, really?
I should have asked for Josh. Josh would have been a good podcast tip.
Do you fuck with any wine out of like a box, like any box wine?
I'm open to it. It's apparently getting better.
It is, as are the canned wines.
There's a wine newsletter I subscribe to, a brilliant wine writer called Karen McNeil, whose writing I love, and she was recently saying she had been using for years, I think I'm paraphrasing, but had been using for years sort of canned wine as a kind of a metonymy, I guess, for bad wine, and a metonym, if you will, and she did a tasting of canned wines and found some were pretty good, and so she's gonna take it back.
Shout out Underwood.
Yeah, you never slapped the bag.
Yeah, a little Franzia action.
Well, in my youth, but it's also been a while since I've done a keg stand.
Right.
While we're on the topic, what is Matthew's media diet? What do you love to read in your free time?
I love to read New York Magazine, best magazine. of the day.
There it is. Plug.
Multiple ASME Award, both nominee and winner.
Talk y'all shit.
Great magazine. I still love the New Yorker. I think New Yorker is a great magazine.
Their app could use some work.
No comment. I think the Times magazine still has great stuff.
Shout out Big
very
Willie.
frequently. Yeah, my friendliest nemesis, my
Willie Stalley?
nemesis-y friend.
Really?
He is offended that I've had him on mute on Twitter for 4 years.
Wow.
That motherfucker do be tweeting.
And they all slap. Shout out friend of the show, Willie Stalley, bro.
Except for the ones about like alternate side parking. Those I could do without.
Willie,
Yeah.
I want to say here publicly, Willie, I love you, and
He's listening.
I hope we can bring it back.
Good luck with the Jetta, Willie. Wait, since but when it comes to food, what's like some good food podcasts or like newsletters? Like, let's go in the independent route real quick.
I'm still discovering. If you have a great food newsletter,
Okay.
please send it to me. I would love to see it. I recently subscribed to your friend and mine, Jason Stewart's food newsletter, and I think it's pretty
Shout
good.
out Jason.
I will
Back on the
say
sticks.
my favorite food magazine, and honestly, maybe the magazine I'm most excited to receive every like quarter or whatever when it arrives, is Cooks Illustrated.
Okay.
An unbelievable magazine. Really takes the science I was bad at as a child and jams it into the eating and cooking I want to do now. What are the, I like the Claire DeBoer newsletter, chef from King here in the city and Jupiter and Stissing House upstate. She sort of cooks in the way that like I think we all sort of wish we could cook, where we just sort of like scoop up an armful of like
Radishes.
tangerines
Yeah.
and ricotta, and like I had some leftover dill and fennel seed, and I put it all in a
Compost
tin, and
cuisine.
I cooked it at a temperature I didn't bother to check until she was done. And because she is a
genius.
beautiful chef,
Yeah.
it comes out perfectly. And when I make it, it's like literally a
Garbage.
dump cake.
Yeah.
But
Plate of slop.
Shout out Rochester. That shit's a garbage plate, bro.
Yeah.
Literally.
did you ever go to the Rochester Garbage Plate restaurant when it was here in
He lived
Clifton Hill?
right
Dude, shout
there.
out Brian, man. Shout out Radical Wine. I was super bummed when it closed because I thought the burgers were fucking awesome, dude.
It's actually now, I don't know if you've been back, but it's become a, oh God, this is
It's called
gonna be like a
Radio.
Radio Quora.
Yep. Soup?
Nigerian.
It's like Nigerian soups.
Nice.
Yeah, goat pepper soup. Really, really delicious place. Really enjoyed it.
Who's your goat? Martha or Ina?
I mean, that's Solomon's choice,
Paula Dean.
Sophie's choice.
Sophie. No, definitely Sophie's choice.
Solomon
Had to
splitting
cut
the baby.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess the baby wasn't two people who had to
was it a Siamese
solder
twin?
together. Yeah, all right.
That's the Paula Dean metaphor.
Yeah, the old Siamese choice.
I have to say I adore both of those women and their prodigious outputs.
Martha's prodigious.
Young Martha Stewart.
I have.
Who's far?
I was going to
Jewish.
say I haven't had meals with both. I have not had meals with both. I had a meal with Martha and I had a
Spill?
cooking lesson with Ina.
Who?
Holy shit.
Okay, please tell us about
Did
both
Martha
of
make
experiences.
the chicken lobster monstrosity?
No, although after that I did reach out to the restaurant to see if they were open because I would like to eat it.
Okay. What was the meal with Martha?
I did a piece with her and Snoop when they started
Oh,
their
wow.
VH1 show.
Did he serve the pizzle?
I know. Well, we went out to God, what's that restaurant in LA? That's the good guy, the good one,
the nice guy.
the nice guy. Is that the one
At
I'm
the
thinking
club?
of?
Like the word, like Travis Scott will like do a DJ. Say you went to the
It's-
nice guy.
Yeah, and we had a private room in the back.
Was Zach Bia there?
This might have been before Zach Bia's birth. I'm not sure. But they did at the time their version of a Jack in the Box taco.
Which by the way, I love a Jack in the Box
and
taco.
Martha had never had a Jack in the Box taco.
Wow.
But she had a zhuzhed up version.
She tried this one, but she was
Oh.
like, "Well, I've never had the original." And Snoop was.
People are really divided on that because some people are like, this is cat food for people, but I find it to be it's one of my favorite things.
I don't have
Two for $1, baby.
Well, there you
Wow.
go.
That's same price as cat food.
So I
Cheaper.
Cheaper than cat food. That's their slogan.
I
know it's good.
And then Ina, I did a piece that I was very fond of, profiling Ina during sort of like the early mid pandemic when she became such a hero
when
for
she-
drinking
yeah,
that
yeah.
giant Cosmo.
Did you have a giant Cosmo the fucking size of a small
I
child?
did not have that, but we made, she declined to receive me at home in East Hampton because she and Jeffrey are of a certain age and we're concerned about,
of course.
about transmission. And so
Got to protect Jeffrey at all costs.
America's favorite CIA agent.
America's favorite spook, dude.
And so we did a cooking lesson on Zoom, and I made an unbelievably delicious icebox cake using Tate's cookies and mascarpone.
That's how good she is, that through Zoom it translated perfectly and you had this amazing thing.
Well, as I mentioned in the piece, I mean, I don't want to put her on blast because I truly revere her, and I'm so proud to have ever spoken to her, and I will continue cooking her recipes. And as weird as it is to say, we now have a mutual friend, and so I'm especially
Martha
nervous. But no, but she let me know that a couple of my choices were not following the recipe, and if it didn't turn out well, she wasn't sticking around to.
That's
to
on
eat
you,
it.
brother.
But it was, she sort of said with just a little hint of an edge in her voice that you don't get on the television. It's like, people say your recipes don't work, and then I say, well, did you follow them? And she was right. I thought you could substitute a cookie with nuts for a cookie without nuts, but
come on now.
it was the same. Dare I say, nuts to think so?
Well, you're nuts for nuts.
Yeah.
Well, you've made a bunch of friends in the food world, whether goats such as Martha, Snoop Dogg, and Ina and Jeffrey, or just the homies. I mean,
Martha, who would, by the way, not know me if she saw me in the street. I'm pretty sure.
Come on.
We'll see.
She must read New York Mag's reviews. She would at least know your name.
Couldn't tell you.
Okay. Well, Martha, if you're
Ask
watching.
her. Well, yeah, when she calls in.
Yeah.
Here's a question. If you're eating out 5 nights a week and it's usually a party of 4, is that right?
For
2 to 4?
For full reviews, I try to do 4.
How can Jimmy and Larry get an invite to a meal out with Monsieur Schneier? And where would you take us?
Keep training that palate, and I think you'll get there.
My palate's just killed by this cancerous black liquid.
Are there any tips for someone who, such as like myself, has the palate of a baby? What can I do to?
I think just keep eating. I think
Real eaters
eat the thing that freaks you out. It's like there are so many things that are delicious and seem perhaps initially, because of our own ethnocentrism and because of our own experience and because they are literally brains, seem a little freaky or a little weird.
Do we strike you as food pussies?
I would say no, but I think there are plenty of things that like I just never bothered to order when I wasn't doing this professionally, and now it's not that I like run toward things that don't appeal to me, but
that looks gross. Let me get 2.
There's very little that I will say hard no to at this point. I'm not sure actually yet.
Do you have any allergies?
Not yet.
That's actually because like you couldn't be a food critic if you were allergic to, say, shellfish, right?
I mean, maybe I would. You'd have to have some carve out, and you'd
got to carry
emotional support shellfish
carry
or something.
Carry an EpiPen. Yeah.
No, I don't. I have no allergies. I'm not actually at present lactose intolerant.
Hashtag blessed.
I'm not diabetic. Like I
just a neurotic Jew.
I can ruin this temple, and I am.
Yeah. Wait. So how do you decide? Like, are you yourself kind of like curating the vibe where it's like, I got to invite. I can't invite warring parties. I got to bring people that, I'm going to a fancy place. Maybe I got to bring people that know their P's and Q's. Like, and then again, how can we fucking go out with you?
Yeah. Sorry, not to bury the lead here. How do we get invited?
Yeah.
Well, just keep watching that inbox. It'll come for you.
Okay. All right.
One of these days.
And where would you take us?
Where are you going to take us?
I mean, I need to know all of your allergies and aversions.
None.
Zero.
No aversions.
I need to know whether you intend to behave.
I don't want to eat the duck embryo.
Okay. Racist.
I know. Well, yeah, that's just me. Racist.
I promise to be on my best behavior if I got the invite of a lifetime.
Best behavior is a relative thing.
That's true.
Right.
And boy, have I learned that.
Oh, yeah.
Have you gone out with people? We're not going to name names, but have you gone out with people where they got a little fucking.
That was just an easy laugh line. Okay. Cue the dead silence.
But people do
crickets
when they're like, oh shit, I can't fuck this up. Let me keep it to like 1 glass of wine.
I basically, I shouldn't say I keep it to 1 glass of wine because that's in fact not true. But my rule of thumb has been like, you can have a cocktail. For myself, I can have a cocktail before dinner, and if it's 4 people, we get a bottle of wine for the table, and I have a glass.
But that's the line, right?
That's where I try to stop.
What about
and Matthew's ordering the wine?
Oh, without question.
Yeah.
When it comes to just getting like the munchies going, what's the policy there?
I mean, for my guests, if that's what they need, if that's what they want, like it's fine.
More
by
power
me.
to them.
It's
But
not, it's not for me.
Okay.
Some comedian has a line. It's like, I hate getting laughs from stoned people. Or, it's fish in a barrel. It's like, yeah, I mean, I could get like high off my dome and like go in and be like, man, all this is fucking delicious. Like, are you kidding?
Yo, they got nachos at La Bernadette.
So
They got fish tacos.
I would like my palate and my sense to be
I
as
understand.
calibrated as possible. I mean,
If you can't drive, you can't eat.
What dinner table etiquette faux pas like really gets you?
what dinner table faux pas really gets me?
Can I say mine if you
Yeah,
have time? It's
yeah.
people that order with, I'll do the blah, 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 no, please. And it's like you're centering yourself as like the consumer. It's not the, may I please have the, like, can you please do me the honor of creating this for me?
I'll do the nachos.
I'll do the nachos, Eric. Again, back to La Bernadette.
Monsieur Ripper.
Monsieur Ripper. Les nachos.
I
I hate that shit.
I am sort of like guilty party number one because I often have my
sorry.
phone on the table if I'm like taking pictures or trying to kind of quietly take notes. It does make me crazy when people are like fully like on their phones at meals.
Oh, like scrolling while
scrolling, texting.
That's
like,
crazy.
I think that's
the point?
Sort of a lot.
stay at home.
Scrolling is crazy.
I do think it's sort of punching down in a sense to complain about like server verbiage because it's also sort of like a cliche and a punchline at this point. But like I do get a little like irritated by how are we enjoying our first bites?
Ooh.
Feels a little bit like
You're not eating with us.
I'm a baby and
Yeah.
like the airplane is like coming in for landing.
I hate when a server does the airplane with my first
All
bite.
right.
That's really annoying.
But other than that, I think everybody's sort of basically been on good behavior. I mean, I think good restaurants set a tone and sort of communicate to
Lead by
their
example.
guests, what the kind of level of discourse is, for lack of a better word. I think there
Yeah.
are plenty of places where you can be kind of wild and it's fun. And I think that's a huge part of eating out is the sort of social aspect of it and the theater of it. And like, that doesn't mean that everything has to be kind of like hushed and white tablecloth and whatever. But I do think you have to read the room. It's like, I don't need somebody to
If
be
the
like,
food leaves you speechless, that's one thing. But we're enjoying ourselves.
What do you think of the mid-meal sig break?
if you need it, do your thing.
I think, honestly, I think that's the best thing you've said so far.
I don't know if y'all know this, but they're actually they're not good for you. They're going to kill you.
I quit, dude.
Don't gonna tell me.
So I'm worried that I won't have so many more beautiful meals with you.
Got it.
But
Right.
Gonna invite this man out soon.
But that's your own choice. I mean,
Right. It's a personal choice.
That's
Matthew, in your esteemed opinion, what is the most overrated dining experience in New York City? Lawrence and I have our answer.
what is the most overrated dining experience in New York City? Boy, I have a hot take for off mic, but I truly am
What
not.
can we say on mic?
On mic, the most overrated dining experience is,
Yeah?
He said it.
I actually, I
Come
think,
on, dude.
I think if you go into Balthazar knowing you're going into Balthazar and play to its strengths, you can have such a good time.
It's just drinks and
Yeah,
seafood
seafood
tower at the
tower.
bar.
That's it.
I think you throw in a burger, you throw in a green salad, you throw in an overpriced shrimp cocktail. Like you have to. I mean, I'll give you an example. My intended nope.
Good bit, dude.
Thank. He's a comedian, so I gotta like.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You're
He's-
marrying a comedian.
He's a writer.
Is he
writer
funny?
and comedian. He's very much funnier than I am, as he constantly reminds me.
You want to come on the pod?
Probably.
All right. Done.
He has a pod about straight culture, so I think you two wouldn't be invited, but like maybe somebody else
Wait, he has a pod about straight culture, but he invites non-straights on to talk about straight culture? That's
Are you
Is that the conceit?
calling us gay?
Yeah, calling you guys.
Got it.
oh,
Yeah, I got it. Again, we're Jewish. Comedy's in our blood.
Sure.
Wait, what's this pod called?
Stradio Lab?
Oh, I've heard of Stradio.
Everybody listen to Stradio Lab. Great
Yeah.
podcast.
Shooting right now. But okay, Balthazar.
Balthazar,
What's the
we both really love the theater. I know that's a shocker, two gay men. I don't actually even remember what we were seeing, but we saw something on Broadway a couple months ago. And it's like you get out and you're on, 45th Street and 8th Avenue at 10:38. And you haven't had dinner because the show, it's one of these endless shows that maybe started at 7. And so it's like, well, we need dinner. It's a Friday night. Like, we don't want to like, there's nothing in the house. Where are we going to go?
Yeah.
Are you going to like
Bubblegum Shrimp House? just down the
Exactly.
street.
Straight up.
And, I'm like, we're frantically scrolling Resi and we're looking around and this one's closed and that one.
Right.
And it's like, you go to Balthazar. And we jumped on the R train.
Mhm.
It dropped us off a block from Balthazar. Walk in the door. It's one of the maitre d's who I know from profiling Keith, a few years ago, walks in, couldn't be, more generous, more genteel. Walks in the door, says like, let me work it out for you. The place is packed. It's
Must be
got an
nice.
energy. It's loud. We're not looking to have
But
the
not too
best
loud.
French food in
Right.
New York. It's loud, but not too loud.
Right.
Finds us a table somehow. We sit down, shrimp cocktail, oysters, a burger to share, 2 martinis, not even a very good martini. Doesn't matter. And that's a nice experience. And it's like, that's exactly what we wanted.
What do you think of this, like, the discourse around New York City restaurants aren't open late anymore? Like, what the hell's going on? Is there any truth to that, or like, is that for real?
It seems to be, to me. I mean, there are places that stay open later, but
Yeah, go to Queens, people.
well, it's like, Montague Diner, new diner in Brooklyn Heights,
Mhm.
just opened, very hypey right now, is allegedly trying to go 24 hours. We'll
Let's
see.
go, dude.
We'll-
As
we'll
a
see-
diner should.
We'll see if they make it, but I'm pulling for them. I think that would be fun.
3-decker diner right here, 24 hours.
Capelia,
Kellogg's?
on I don't know about Kelly's, but Capelia is actually like better than it needs to be. 14th Street, 7th Avenue, fully
Nice.
24 hours.
Is that like the Brazilian?
It's
one-ish?
Cuban,
Yeah,
Puerto
yeah,
Rican,
yeah,
Dominican,
yeah.
like it's the diaspora.
green sauce.
Good stuff. I it does feel to me like places are closing earlier. That said, it also feels like there are hypey places that are doing midnight reservations.
Jeans.
I mean, I reviewed Cocodoc recently,
Ooh.
the fried chicken place from the Coat People, and the only reservation that you could get for weeks on end was like 11:45 p.m., 12 a.m., 12:30 a.m.
Damn.
And I wasn't willing. And
Yeah.
I didn't.
I don't blame you.
But so I don't know. I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. It's like everything closes early except places that I don't want to stay overnight.
What's your ideal dinner time?
I like a classic 8.
Okay.
I really do. I think
Lawrence and I are six o'clockers.
Hit me at fucking 6 p.m., dog. It's
I-
6 p.m. somewhere.
I think there's a real argument to be made for that. My better half, maybe that's it. Being European, thinks it is like
Oh.
the height of rudeness to like order an appetizer before 10 p.m.
Right.
Once we were in Greece and he like literally yelled at me for trying to get a salad off a menu.
Oh, shit.
at,
Was it
like
Greek salad?
it was 9 o'clock.
Is every
Like-
salad in Greece a Greek salad?
Yeah.
I know if you're doing it right.
Like a straight up cultural faux pas. Like he was embarrassed.
Yes,
Yeah.
he absolutely. And this was like the only bit of food we were going to get before enjoying a 3-hour
Oh my goodness.
production of the Bacchae in ancient Greek in the original Greek amphitheater.
Yowzers, dude.
And so I was like, I
So
don't
you
know.
guys okay?
Damn,
Jesus
dude.
Christ.
I just wanted a little roughage.
Talk- yeah.
Talk about crossing
yeah.
the river
Line the
Hades,
tummy.
my guy. That
I've-
sounds like my nightmare.
Honestly, it was a transcendent and beautiful experience.
Of course.
But I got a little news for you. I don't speak ancient Greek.
Were there subtitles? Like,
There were, but
I mean, look, you eat out, what would we say, 5 nights a week? I mean, you're playing with like a loaded gun here, right? So my question for you is, what venerable New York restaurants have given you diarrhea? Because just the odds are
it's gonna
at
happen.
some point, especially with
Yeah.
all this raw seafood, you eat a bad clam, you know,
Yeah. Russian roulette with a fully loaded revolver to
a
James.
rogue
point.
prawn,
Yeah. Oof.
to quote industry.
there was a meal that upset the tums of my household.
Yeah.
The tum tums.
Bubble guts.
Like food poisoning?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think just like a journey. But honest to God, I don't remember what it was.
was it like a name restaurant, or was it just like,
It was definitely somewhere we were trying with an eye to like maybe we'll write about it and
Damn.
maybe I'll write about it and I don't think I did. I will check.
Frank
with
Sinatra
Joe.
has diarrhea.
I'll text you. That can be like
Okay.
a Discord exclusive.
Okay.
How does it like? Do you scout out a place by eating there first, and then like you're like, oh, I want to review. Like, what's that process?
It depends. I mean,
Okay.
The logistics of getting 4 people to every meal actually is complicated, especially when you are like booking things that may be off times or last minute or whatever. So for places that I feel fairly confident I will review, I will go with 4 people at the outset, at the jump. For places I'm just sort of scoping out, sometimes I'll go with 2 or 3 people. Sometimes I'll go on my own. And if it feels like, oh, wow, this turned out to be really great, I will go back with a couple more people.
Okay. So it's independent, or it's different every time, really.
Yeah.
Matthew, what's on your food bucket list?
What's on my food? Like, what weird thing am I dying to eat, or what?
Whether it's a
what
restaurant, a restaurant in like, I don't know, fucking Brazil, anything.
Yeah.
Or like a single ingredient, or like a specific dish,
Choose your own adventure.
country maybe.
Let's see. I feel. I hesitate to even say this. I sometimes wonder about, the kind of like most Michelin, most, San Pellegrino 50 bested, like just these like super, 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 super haute experiences. My fantasy is not necessarily to like go somewhere that you have to take like a boat to a donkey to a zip line, to have 14 kinds of foam.
Right.
And book, 2,000 years in advance. Although I don't know, having said that, I did a little piece on the Frederick Wiseman documentary about Restaurant Trois Gros in France that books like, a zillion months ahead of schedule and costs a fortune. But, then you've never had eels clubbed quite this way before. And it's sort of like, I don't know, like seems good.
Clubbed as in like killed?
Oh, yeah.
Clubbed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like club sandwich. So I don't know. I mean, I think, again, maybe a bullshit evasive answer, but I think the thing that's really exciting about my job is that like every day I discover some new place that I've never heard of that's like, oh my God, like I do want to try that. I've got to get like,
haven't I been there?
Out there? Like, whether it's, in the boroughs or whether it's in,
That sounds so
somewhere else.
Sisyphean though. Like there's no way you can obviously try every restaurant, and you just keep adding to the list of what you need to hit up.
Yeah, I mean, it's the boulder rolls down, and there I am just pushing.
Yeah, working those calories off.
Exactly.
What would your last meal on Earth be?
Let's go.
We all die. I don't know if you know that, but we all die one day.
Build this shit for us.
Yeah.
From the ground up.
Last meal on Earth.
Let's say you're so hangry, your intended yells at you for eating a Greek salad at 9 p.m. and you murder him.
No, he moves on to better half.
Better half. And so you're in jail, and because it's Greece, I assume there's a death penalty there. And
For Jews.
they're going to kill you.
There's actually a real Greek Jewish population.
Yeah, there is. I
Didn't know.
They're going to kill you,
They are
but you
racist
get to do
people,
your
though.
last meal. So what's it going to be?
What is it going to be?
It could be like any like homemade, like feel free to absolutely go. as
Your
specific as
mom's
possible.
burnt water.
I know,
Yeah,
yes.
me.
A glass of mom's burn water to start.
My poor mother. I'm always like talking in the line of duty about what a shitty cook she was. But
My mom too.
But honestly, I mean, my like Proustian Madeleine is an English muffin with melted Munster cheese, which was the one thing she could make unbelievably.
Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah. Is that going to be in the mix for your last meal?
I mean, maybe it's a little.
Oh, what a good cheese to get
amuse-bouche.
in the nooks and crannies too.
Ooh.
I mean, Munster, she's a melter.
Yeah, I love Munster, dude. So good.
I'm thrilled to hear that because I feel it's a very underrated cheese.
Oh, 100%. Jarlsberg as well. Another big one for me.
All right, Jew on Jew. There we go. I think it would be certainly like a pasta course. Probably like a red sauce, maybe a bolognese, maybe like an amatriciana, something like that. I think that can be really transcendent. I think probably like a steak.
Okay.
These feel like such cliched answers.
No, but this is.
How do you like your steak?
Medium rare.
What's your favorite cut?
I like a strip. I'm not.
Okay,
I mean,
interesting.
I'll eat a ribeye.
Yeah.
I will eat a filet. Like,
Do you have a favorite steakhouse in the city?
not yet because I am doing the due diligence to go to all the
shit.
good ones.
Damn.
I gotta
All the big ones.
all the
hitters.
classics,
Your Keens, your Lugers, etc.
your everybody's.
Hawksmoor,
Strip house.
or whatever the fuck they're called.
That's my favorite.
I have to say, I thought I loved Strip House, and I went not so long ago, and it
Oh, no, it fell off?
I thought it fell off, but maybe it was an off night.
Brutal, dude.
What's your number? Can you tell us your current front runner though of the ones that you have tried, knowing that it could change once you try them all?
What is it?
We're taking sides into account, everything. And Vibe Steakhouse. Yeah, Vibe is so huge.
You gotta have it all. I mean, I do love the vibe of Keen's so much that maybe, if you put a gun to my head and said, like, you're going to a steakhouse tonight, it would be there, and it's easier to get into in Lures.
Sure. You get a mutton chop?
No, that's where I draw the line.
Thank you.
That to me
I
is
agree.
It's
like,
not good.
It's not that it's not good. It's you got to.
It's taking up precious stomach.
Right. You got to know what you're getting yourself into.
Right. I don't necessarily need that, but I would. Have,
All right. So we got pasta. We got a steak.
You got to have like a potato. Like, is it a?
This is your last meal?
Is it a frite that they somehow have at this Italian commissary?
No, it's whatever you want. So you tell us.
It could be a roasted potato. I'm open.
Really?
Wow. So simple.
That's your number one starch
potato.
No, like a sorry.
Well,
roasted.
I'm trying to sort of keep it thematic. I don't want it to have a sort of schizophrenic last meal. Not that there's anything wrong with being neurotypical.
That's why we're having you here for representation. Again, you can do it. It's whatever you want.
You can throw a Big Mac in there.
Yeah, seriously. Like,
all right. So I mean, let's do a Belgian frite.
Okay.
Let's do a spinach, like a garlicky spinach side. And I think I'm disappointing you. I know what you
there's no right or wrong answer. It's your,
I guess, like, as someone that has eaten it all, to go back to the simple things on your last meal before you cross into the great blue yonder is like poetic. I don't know.
I just feel like I want the last taste in my mouth to be of something like I love and I know I love.
Right.
I don't want to be like swinging at the grave,
is nostalgia a big part of your food journey?
Maybe, but like I can't say that. Like, I didn't even really eat steak until I was 20 or 22.
Really?
So what you want is comfort food, is what I'm hearing.
If only there was a trend for that.
Because I'm hearing last taste in your mouth swinging. I think would be your better half's penis.
Well, I mean, I hope not to be digesting that. I like to leave him something to remember me by.
Touche.
Some well done meat.
I do. Maybe
Greek meat.
this is the most American thing about me, but I fucking love pie. I would like.
Oh,
I don't need like a fancy dessert. I would have like
What kind of pie are we talking?
I mean, could be like a sour cherry. Could be
tart.
Strawberry. I mean, strawberry rhubarb I do love, but like maybe it's too much for this. Could be peach.
But a pie, not a cobbler.
Not a cobbler.
You want ice cream on that bitch?
I mean, I do. I love. I am a big ice cream man, so I would have some ice cream.
Some different temperature action going on.
But you could. I mean, you could just do like a scoop of creme fraiche. I mean, I like all the sort of creamy cultured creams.
Yeah, and your boyfriend's penis in your mouth. What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
I love a pistachio.
Oh, great call.
I love a pistachio. I like a strawberry.
But so are we talking ice cream, James? Soft serve, gelato? What exactly?
Anything.
Okay, because I think that would depend.
Anything in the
great answer, 100%, right?
Any
pistachio,
meat,
gelato.
any meat in the ice cream stew.
Any meat in the ice cream stew? What? Sorry, what is that?
Like ice cream is,
No, he's cooking. Let him cook. Literally.
There's a whole vat of different ice creams: gelato, soft serve, fucking pints, whatever.
Like
crazy.
yeah. I mean, I like the class. I like a good American ice cream. I do like a soft serve, but honestly, like, give me a Mr. Softy. Like,
yes,
that's
you going Sprinkies?
I mean, obviously, and rainbow only.
Same.
Hello,
that's my favorite.
Representation matters.
Rainbow Sprinkies.
That's right. I also like a cherry dip. I know that's maybe embarrassing.
Yeah,
that's
weird.
That's weird.
That's one of the things
that now I'm like.
That's one of the things that George is like. That's for Americans. You want
melted candy on your ice cream?
you don't dress an ice cream cone. That's not right.
Have you ever worked in a restaurant?
Unfortunately not. I think
I don't recommend it.
I understand it to be, an incredibly challenging while also I think intermittently rewarding endeavor. I used to actually like fantasize, not sexually, but I used to think
about line cooks.
I used to really want to be a waiter.
Just a waiter?
When I was a kid, I thought it seemed like an extremely glamorous thing to be. And there's this, I don't know if it's true or not, but this thing that they always said is you can't be a waiter in New York without New York restaurant experience, which I always thought was like a complete catch-22 because it never occurred to me that someone
How does
could
that make sense?
be not from New York and so have had prior experience elsewhere or something. But truly, that would not be New York experience. So you would wonder how they got it in the.
Were you hoping to be a waiter in like the Jekyll and Hyde restaurant so you could like add some theater into it?
Not necessarily. I thought the idea of sort of like having a tray full of things that you were bringing to people and interacting and having a little bit of patter but not too much seemed very appealing to me.
Huh.
I couldn't explain
People
to you why.
pleaser.
I
as a
was
youngin.
one summer I did work in a candy store. I think I've mentioned this before, maybe in fact on this podcast.
6 years ago, that was.
I worked at the one New York franchise of the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory.
Where's that?
It used to be. It's in fact I think I may be one or two doors off on this, so fact check me if you must. But I'm pretty sure it is the space we now know as Primo's.
Oh,
Okay.
damn. All right. Okay. But talking about, whether fancy jobs or previous jobs, is there anything you miss about working in the fashion industry, or are you completely fucking, that's all in rearview mirror?
I do miss the fashion industry because I sort of miss the fashion industry.
Thank you. I was going to say, because I had a conversation with you the last time I saw you, and it seemed like you didn't miss shit.
You're not supposed to lie on this podcast.
No, this is about truth, Matthew.
I had been covering fashion for 15 years. I needed a little break. I think right after I left, I was feeling a little bit reprieved, a little bit drunk on my new freedom. Having taken a 6-month break, I can see a lot of the good parts a little bit more clearly, which I think is nice.
Oh, okay. Hindsight. 2020.
I mean, it was great to travel. I traveled what seems to me now an unbelievable amount from kind of my early mid 20s.
But it would just be like
well into my 30s.
Milan, Paris, London, New York. No?
Yes.
It's like the circuit.
Yes. And I understand that there are people who want to like see the entire world and check off every continent. And I have some of that myself, but I actually think an underrated
Wanderlust.
form of travel is to have places that you go to repeatedly or have to go to repeatedly where
Thank
you
you.
really know them because,
Second homes.
for no reason, in no way that I could have prepared for or even imagined in advance, I am very comfortable in Paris. I'm very comfortable in London. I'm pretty comfortable in Milan. Like I basically know where I'm going. I speak just enough of the languages to get by.
Speak
I have
enough
places. That one's the one I'm still struggling
Oi!
on.
Got his ass.
I am knobbing it.
What'd you call me? No, I'm just asking for a cigarette, mate.
Okay. What's the number one thing you do not miss about working in fashion? Let's get negative.
Yeah. The people.
I love all my girls in fashion, all my girls and gays, and you too,
And us too.
Thanks, bro.
I think, fashion, when you are covering the part of the industry I was, which is in fact, in some ways kind of less consumer focused and more about sort of the industry of it, you really can get into this groove, and the groove can be nice when you feel like you really like, you're going to Paris 4 times a year and you know where you're going and you feel good there and whatever. And I mean, honestly, by the end, I was like, oh, this is about the restaurants, huh? Like this is why I'm going. I'll
It's
go to
the scene.
I'll go to the shows during the day if I have
Sure.
to. But, and I did, and I had to. But, it, especially as the kind of seasons and collections proliferated, by the end, it just got to a place where it was like, okay, I'm reviewing pre-fall. Okay, I'm reviewing fall. Okay, I'm reviewing pre-spring. Okay, I'm reviewing spring. Okay. And it's
I need
like
cruise as well.
cruise is pre.
Oh, okay.
I believe. Have I
me.
forgotten that? Yes, cruise is pre-spring.
Okay.
Cruise is the Equinox steam room.
I'm just in there to schwitz.
Yeah.
So it, it can get a little repetitive. And,
Yeah.
and what
You
I found
say.
was it was hard to find time and space and bandwidth to do anything that wasn't that.
Oh, you were locked in.
It was, if you want to really
That's
do it,
Sisyphean, to your
you-
point.
you got to do it. I'm sure there's another Greek myth of someone who just like is kind of like riding the rails around and around and around and around. And
Just reviewing fashion. Just reviewing togas.
it's like Tantalus and the grapes, maybe just like reaching and reaching and reaching for that one perfect skirt.
Yeah, that one.
That's
I
where
I only know Sisyphus.
that's where we get tantalizing.
oh,
Wow. You
Grape-
learned
is that where we get
something new
grapevine?
every day.
Absolutely.
fire.
I have a question real quick before we move off fashion, because we are soon. Don't worry. Right now, do you have a favorite menswear designer?
I have really retrenched to the the quote unquote classics because I'm not, there were years in my life where I really was like seeking out
Right.
new kids and people I was excited by. And, I find it in some ways it's easier to do because, you just like click on Essence and they just buy absolutely everything from every designer that's ever been born and they do it all for you. But I find it hard to keep up when you're not covering it professionally.
That definitely helps. Yeah.
So, it's like, and I don't buy like I used to. I mean, I was never a huge shopper. That was never a big part of my fashion world. But like when you're in it all day, like you do end up getting more stuff and being interested in more stuff. And I've sort of thinned my closet and I'm kind of too, it's comb is always going to be it for me. It's basically like comb and Levi's
and Gucci.
This is. I have a couple pieces of vintage product, but I don't have a huge product collection. I would like to have more
Levi's collaborations.
I love to look at Junia. I find, at least historically, Junia was hard for me size wise. I think give me another 6 months and I will probably be snug in Junia.
Aren't we all?
The one new guy that I stumbled on that I actually think is great, and I bought a piece that I really like, which I just sort of don't usually do from people I don't know, is a guy called Carter Young.
Oh yeah, shout out Carter Young, dude. I got a Western.
I got
and a suit.
I got how's the suit? Actually, I need a wedding suit.
It needs to be hemmed, but it's great.
Oh, what are you thinking for altar fit?
It's a big question right now, and honestly, because I haven't bought a suit in a number of years, I was sort of like, all right, I'm gonna like screw up my courage and pay $2,000 for a suit, and then I was like, oh, I guess I'm gonna pay $2,000 for half a suit. That's not what suits cost these days.
But it's not gonna be black tie.
No. My sister's wedding was black tie in October, and bless her, it was a lovely event. I have no desire to do a black tie.
Too stuffy.
It's not even stuffy. It's just like, I think it's a lot to ask your guests. And,
true, totally.
But
it's not about them, to be clear.
It's not, but I also like.
But it is.
I sort of think it's less about me than I think many grooms do.
Okay. As a married guy, my wife.
As a married narcissist,
what I was told from my wife is that it's about the parents of
that's how
who's
I
getting
feel.
married. It's about your parents.
How was the food at your sister's wedding?
It was delicious because my sister, I hope she'll be fine with me saying this, although she was actively seeking press coverage on her wedding and secured some. So I think she
hell yeah.
Was at Blue Hill.
Ooh.
So we ate good at Blue Hill.
I was gonna say they might explain the dress code.
Did you like meet the cow whose penis was in the soup?
Except it's like
no,
a
but
farm.
but that's the experience.
It's
high, low.
It's black tie.
Did you meet the cow whose penis was eventually in the soup? That's like the vibe, right?
The bull, but no.
The bull.
Sorry, bro. About to eat your cock.
Looks good.
My sister's getting married. My hands are tied.
Speaking of cock, Matthew, we would love to know for the listeners at home and for us, honestly,
Not me.
For date night. No, you don't do date night?
Date night. No.
What are just the most wallet friendly, let's say, and democratic, meaning like accessible, not like pie in the sky or like impossible to get into spots for a first date or date night?
I think no reservation places are actually surprisingly good for that. Because
reservations.
It's democratic in the sense of like your odds are just as good as anybody else's.
Yeah. True.
But you don't want to look bad on a first date by like, oh, now we're waiting because it's
but I
Friday,
think
Saturday night.
Listen, it's been a long time since I've been on a first date, brag. But I would hope that people would be open to like an off-kilter time. I think it would be sort of fun to have like a drink and then a later dinner.
Want to get a drink at 2:00, babe?
Yeah.
But I think if you meet for a drink at 7 and see how it goes and you vibe and it's working,
totally,
like
the pre-screening.
You wanna grab dinner, then it's like 9:00, then the restaurant's closing in 4 minutes, but you can slide in there. Actually,
I got a Chardonnay back at the crib.
I mean,
on
true story,
ice.
my first date with George, we had drinks, we hit it off, we canceled on the party that we actually both independently were invited to and were going to go to and didn't, and went to get dinner and were told that the spot that I picked, my go-to spot at the time, was no longer serving. And so we did twist my arm. I have to go to the crib.
Yeah. And then you served.
I think it's beautiful you both hated the same people and we're like, we're not going to this fucking party.
To be clear, because this person will listen, we treasure that person.
Okay.
We just,
You had
We're just trying to smash.
Your priorities were, it was love at first sight, priorities were realigned.
Exactly.
What are your go-to date night spots now with your better half?
Well, the other thing I was going to say, and this is obviously not true of a first date, but it is true of the sort of date nights of the long partnered, who speaks for them. I think that's where it's really nice to cultivate your locals. Like I think if they're like not terribly good.
Sure.
When we go out together,
Budweiser's a Budweiser.
when we go out together, we have restaurants in our neighborhood, which is like a famously bad restaurant neighborhood. And
Where do you live? What's your address?
Say the neighborhood.
We can redact it.
Oh, okay. You're not gonna say your neighborhood.
Okay. You may remember last time I was here 6 years ago, I said your neighborhood on mic, and you were like, bro.
Did I really?
Yeah.
No.
Did you recently listen to your episode? Is the episode still up?
No.
Or you just have a
That's
great
burned
memory?
in my memory. I was like, you can never say someone's neighborhood on pod. I know that now.
Yeah.
But
I
you're
learned that at the expense of Larry Stalker.
You're in a bad restaurant neighborhood. Interesting.
There's so many to choose from.
Not as many as a thing.
Murray Hill?
Yeah.
He's eating at Dover Street Market for lunch. Too.
I actually live in Mindy Kaling's new show, Murray Hill, about New York's most glamorous neighborhood. But we go to sort of like the local Italian place, which like George insists is great. And it, because of going there and because we know what we like and because, it just kind of like it has, it's in a sense become our third.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Know what you're getting yourself into with eating. I feel like it's the biggest lesson. Like again, like just having your expectations set, having the awareness to know, then it's like you can always be disappointed, obviously. We are New Yorkers after all.
Sure.
We live to complain. But I think that's what I'm taking away from this.
Yeah,
I like this is
absolutely.
actually like I'm being totally sincere.
I think it's nice to cultivate a couple places that are sort of your places, whether the places care about you or not. I've always aspired to have my cheers where I like
Of
walk
course,
in and
yeah,
everybody's
of
like
course.
Norm, and it has never really happened. But
You can't be eating a carbone every night.
but
It's you've never endeared yourself.
I think I've come close at a place or two.
It's fucking Jesus Hitler again. God damn it.
Oh, this guy's going to complain about the wine. He's going to judge us on our buy the glass menu.
Do your locals know your profession?
Our locals are so out of, with one exception, our locals are so out of the sort of slipstream of hot restaurants.
That's
that
awesome for you.
I don't think they know at all. I don't think they care.
Perfect.
They care whether we
Tip good.
have the cash to pay them, tip well,
Right.
Because they are cash only. Because why would they be?
Oh, can we talk about that? How do you feel about cash only?
Cash is king.
I am irritated by it, but I will accept it in instances where it is sort of historic or in instances where it seems to be like the difference between a restaurant staying open and a restaurant.
Okay,
like,
sure.
losing
Listen,
it. Which I think between the two of them is probably 100% of instances. So
Yeah,
maybe
the
I've shocked
true
myself.
American dream is evading taxes. And
Of course.
if someone's going to enlist me in helping them do that, I'm on board.
You're going to be complicit for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll do it for a bar, a restaurant. I'm like, damn, really? I guess you got to know ahead of time. Again, know what you're getting into, I guess.
Yeah.
To me, like the real change that needs to be made is that there needs to be a federal ceiling on ATM fees.
Yes. Some banks, they just refund the fee, though.
Not mine.
That's like
What do you think
one
about-
good thing Wells Fargo does.
Do you think the federal government should step in when it comes to just reservation culture and the fact that it's impossible to get a res anywhere and that there are literally bots that like snatch up every reservation and sell them on the secondary market?
Which senator do you think is going to introduce that bill?
Bernie.
All right.
I don't know.
Let's get it, Bert.
Speaking of cash is king, though, Matthew, how much money do you make?
Whatever's in my wallet.
Oh, all right. What do you like to spend your money on besides food?
And wine.
Like every other third or something.
Okay.
I've become a home gay.
A stay-at-home gay. There's a lot of them.
What does that mean?
Living the dream. No. Like I the money that I used to earmark for clothing, I now earmark for furniture and design.
Home goods.
Home goods, which means it's a lot longer of an earmarking period because that shit's expensive. But
We got into this with Jesse.
Yeah.
yes, well, he's a classic example of someone who like got an apartment and now is like, oh,
home
like,
gay.
I'm a home gay. I mean,
A classic transition from fashion gay to home gay.
it's
It's a pipeline.
it's a it's a
I think
rite
the
of
term.
passage.
I think the term we're looking for is homo.
and we found it.
There it is.
We've gotten to
Putting the
derivative
homo and
shit.
homeowner.
Homosexual.
That
Home owned sexual.
I celebrate that. So yes, so I mean, I am more interested.
Is it like art? Is it design? Is it little tchotchkes and goods, or is it like the
Yeah.
big investment pieces, like the big couch?
Well, we're trying to kind of fix up our apartment a little bit because we literally still have like a couch that I've had for 15 years. So we are trying right now to get some bigger stuff. But like, I have a bad habit of being like, well, I need this hand turned salad bowl. Like it's just gonna ennoble the salad. And like, there's so many like tchotchke sellers now.
Oh,
yeah.
That sort of have the patina of like history and arte
Sure,
povera
yeah.
and folk
Tchotchke
art. And
apocalypse.
I mean, I went into a fugue state and won a 1920s rocking horse at auction.
like a for a child or like a little guy.
No, like for a child, but like a child that you might not care if he lived or died because it seems dangerous.
Wait, it's just like you have a rocking horse that's in the crib?
Well, not the child's crib, but the home crib.
in your home. Sorry, that's straight for home.
Oh, interesting.
Crib.
Tell me more.
Sorry.
It's I
You're
think
talking to New Yorker.
I think of it as a as an objet d'art. George thinks of it as a creepy piece of unsanded wood that's in our home.
What child died of fucking typhus on this rocking horse? What Lower East Side immigrant child died of fucking polio on this?
All I can tell you is I got it for a good price. If you
this-
can imagine, nobody else was paying.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
I do think though that, like, for example, we talk about David Lay's newsletter, right? The arcades,
Their kids.
and that is now the thing where it's like, oh shit, this informed person is like explaining to me why this is like a desirable thing, but I shouldn't be bidding $5,000 on a fucking like old farm tool to hang on my wall necessarily, or should I? I don't know. Should I?
I mean, you're talking to someone who literally has a vintage eel fork.
From Things.
Yep.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Have you ever been to his store? or
No, I'm
studio?
dying to go, but Ridgewood is far.
Decades
It's a
Pizza
hike.
though.
I honestly, some good restaurants out there. I went to Hellbent the other
Jeremy
night.
Allen
I had a
White's
nice
favorite
time.
restaurant, Rolos.
Really? He said that publicly?
Apparently. Yeah,
Damn.
and then it became a whole TikTok
Hate
thing.
to see it.
Yeah.
Well, it's a whole empire now. They've got radio. Then radio's coming. Radio's out here,
It
but
is
then
good.
radio's also coming to Prospect Heights.
Mm.
And then I went to Hellbenders, the new bar.
Favorite pizza in New York?
Oh
my god, you're gonna be killed.
Yeah, that's why we're asking right at the end, because maybe we lost some people.
Favorite pizza in New York. Boy, I really should have it just like locked and loaded, right? Honestly, it's the slice joint.
Yeah.
Is that's
It's your local?
I mean, that's
It's your
a
local.
little bit of a bullshit. Well, my local slice joint is not good,
Okay.
but like, but it's sort of like the totality of slice joint. I mean, there are such delicious pizzas. Like,
But you don't need like Lindustries, fucking like.
Industry, I think
artisanal.
is good. I like
Okay.
wrote a little thing about it. There are a lot of like good restauranty kind of Una and the
Right.
ovens and whatever. But
That's
like,
its own thing. It's like a different genre.
I mean, or what my real answer is, with sort of like a combination of two of them, is F&F.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Is a really good sort of slice style with pedigree and delivers to my apartment in the
Oh,
restaurant desert.
There you go.
You're leaving
You're
little
in the
breadcrumbs
radius.
for people that want to.
Yeah. They're going to
Kill
A little
triangulate.
semolina, just
Yeah.
sprinkled.
If anyone out there wants to steal a rocking horse from
Yeah.
the Victorian
His
era.
local is
Oh my
cash
God,
only,
my
and it's in the.
boyfriend would be so grateful. if you would.
please rob me. I will say the best slice I've always said is that it's just any slice that you're getting after you've been walking around and you've just had a great New York day. Any fucking slice.
Absolutely.
The floor
That's the
for
pepper.
pizza is
It's
at the ceiling of most other foods.
God
Matthew,
bless the greatest city on earth.
as a critic, we would love to give you the opportunity. Last question here.
Yeah.
Do you have any constructive criticism you'd like to give us and throwing fits?
6 years later, almost to the day, dude.
I mean, my one sort of question is, as kind of criticism is the one I've always want to know, like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh God, we
Nothing.
may never know. What would
Yeah.
you like to plug? Where can the kids follow you?
I am on all platforms as Matthew Schneier. I'm actually not on TikTok. I don't know if there's a Matthew Schneier impersonator on TikTok, but if so, I wish him the best.
Oh my God, I wonder if they're trying to like get res with your clout via TikTok.
What about Twitter? Are you a big Twitter guy?
X.com.
X. Are you a big Xer?
I was never big. I used to like it when we all used to like it. I've fallen off it.
Does food media use Twitter? Or is it just fucking bozo self-dick sucking media?
I think it's more classic media in my experience,
So
but I really have not kept up with it. So I don't.
Because Food World obviously is so intertwined with the visual that I'm sure it's just more of an Instagram thing.
I think food tends to do better on Instagram is my kind of gut.
That's your screen time.
And I'm there and I rarely post. So I'm sorry for anyone who follows and disappoints.
Sign up for your Substack?
Sure.
Why not?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Great book recs
there.
I have a Substack that I use literally once a year to be like, if you are coming out of a coma, here are the several articles I've written this year. It's
Here's
free.
what you missed. Yeah.
But yes, please.
Here's a movie from 1941 that I enjoyed.
I mean, The Lady Eve, great film.
Hey.
Yes, please, you're right. You're right. Please do subscribe to my Substack. As importantly, probably more importantly, please subscribe to New York Magazine.
There it is.
Yeah.
Greatest magazine in New York. No thanks to me. We are really killing it right now. I'm so proud to work there. I'm so happy to be there.
How frequently do your reviews come out?
My reviews are in every print issue, so that's every 2 weeks.
Right.
And then I generally have another smaller piece in the off weeks on grubstreet.com.
Hell yeah.
Matthew.
Keep it.
Thank you
You're the
for
best,
coming
man.
on to
Thank you so much.
Only Podcast That Matters.
Woo! We did it. 6 years later, baby.
This was a tasty one.
Oh, good to the last
honestly,
drop.
Had a great time.
Yeah. Real eater stand up. Chef, take us out.
You love podcasts, the stories, the laughs, the unexpected turns. But when this episode ends, the silence starts. Not anymore. Audiobooks.com turns that silence into your next great adventure. With over 450,000 titles, from bestsellers to hidden gems, your love for listening just found its new best friend. And because you already know the joy of audio, we're giving you 3 free audiobooks to start your journey. Imagine your favorite podcast, now with unlimited episodes. That's audiobooks.com. Keep the story going. Sign up for your free trial at audiobooks.com/podcastfree today. Because for podcast lovers like you, the end of an episode is just the beginning. That's audiobooks.com/podcastfree.